and were like, stop living a fake life. You came to our filling station, you came to buy fuel for credit, they don't want to pay, come and pay me my money, blah, 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 stop faking a fake, stop. I was like, this same dude that was begging me, my boss will sack me, it's my fault. And I was like, I will pay. I entered my car. As soon as I saw that thing, I zoomed straight to the station. They said the guy has been fired. The manager there was begging me. They called the guy in Ikorodu. He went straight and dropped that post himself. I didn't do it. And and the manager said, for this, because I told the guy, I said, one article online about this filling station will cost you guys a bad reputation. They said they will not pay him his balance, a salary that they're supposed to give to him. But I end up pleading for him. Do you understand? So that is what we get every now and then.
I've worked over 12 jobs in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I cleaned the lavatory on the plane.
Have you said that anywhere else?
I think on Big Brother I did.
Okay.
I said, stop telling them all those things. I'm like, it's part of my journey. You know, it just reminds me of where I came from. You know, I wasn't born with a silver spoon, but of course my parents were comfortable growing up. But I had to work hard. You know, I had to work hard. So being where I am today, I always think about what I did back in the day, how far I've come, and this is only the beginning. I know that the sky is just the starting point. It's definitely not the limit. So yeah.
There was a time in my life I had just moved out of home. I wanted to be a man on my own terms. So I moved out of home, left the family business, and I went to quote-unquote hustle. I moved in with a friend of mine who lived in Shomolu. I was so broke because I had nothing. I took nothing from home. That I had to walk from Shomolu to Surulere every day for a year and a half. I had no money. I could barely afford one meal a day. My job at that point, even after graduating from university, was distributing flyers on the streets of Lagos. What that taught me about myself was that I had a never say die attitude, and I have the strength and resilience to face any circumstance. I came out of that stronger. Like sometimes I look back now and I realize if I could have survived that time, then really there are only a few challenges that will come to me or come my way that I wouldn't be able to survive. And with that kind of confidence, I think everybody, you know, when you figure out what it is about you that is special, with that confidence, you can surmount almost every issue that comes your way.
As we anticipate the commencement of a new leadership in Nigeria, tonight we'll take a look at the changing political environment and the effects on the insurance industry. And Labour Party condemns invasion and occupation of party secretariat in Owerri. We will be discussing with members of the party in Imo State, and we'll be talking on the crisis and plans for the primaries. This is Plus Politics. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. As Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria prepares for the commencement of a new administration. The changing political atmosphere may have affected various sectors of the economy, coupled with ethnicity, tension, religion, and quest for validity of various parties. One sector which may have been notably affected is the insurance industry. One of the most notable highlights of the industry in 2022 was the increase in third-party motor insurance policy rates by the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, the apex regulator, on 22nd of December 2022. Now, joining us to discuss this live, the effects of the changing environment will have on Nigerian insurance is Mr. Ebose Augustine Osega, CEO, Anchor Insurance, and the Insurance Man of the Year. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Insurance Man of the Year. Tell us a little bit. Why do you think you got to this apex, you got to this point where you were recognized by the body of this award-giving body? You were in the same room with the governor receiving awards, on the same day and all that. So how does it feel and how did you get here?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you very sincerely for inviting me this evening. You see, when you are working and you try to do the best you can in life, you don't know people are watching you. We have started I came into the insurance from a humble beginning. Then we try to see what we can do to earn a living. We're not even looking at going to the apex on top of the ladder, but just for survival. But while you do that, then you find out that this is something you could do, and the interest going to come, especially when you see that you are earning a living and the life is becoming very, and the opportunities are there for the take. Then what you do is to grab opportunity. So that's how we find ourselves, and then you working, and people are recognizing you and see what you are doing and say, this man is doing something differently. But sometimes you ask yourself, what am I doing differently? I said the award is just coming in. I was at home, and somebody called me and said, I saw your name on the internet that you are nominated as the CEO of the year on insurance category. I said, really? I thought it was fake until I got a call, and that was it. Then we thank God for that, and I also thank my organization for giving me that opportunity to do so. Okay,
well, everything we do in life is tied to some kind of politics, because there is policy that needs to be made by the people, the policy makers, who eventually are politicians most of the time and all that. And so we are really concerned when we think about revamping the Nigerian spirit, the Nigerian nation, the people of Nigeria. We think about all the sectors. Today, eventually, we're talking to the insurance company CEO of the year, insurance CEO of the year. Now, my concern is, and I've had this concern for some time now, in a country like ours, where everything is not my portion, you know what I mean? Yeah. You tell someone to do insurance for the car, not my portion. You are telling me I will get accident, it will not happen to me, and all that. There seem over the years to be this attitude of our people to drag their feet when it comes to insurance. They just want to survive by God's mercy and all that. So how are you finding our society, how is the response to having insurance policies, joining the train of people who recognize the importance of insurance and all that in Nigeria?
Sometimes, we talk about culture. The Nigerian state as it is, or the Nigerian people. This country is ours. We're all Nigerians. The Nigerian insurance industry is in Nigeria. We are not different from ourselves. The attitude of insurance has to do with the way our economy evolved. If you go to countries like Botswana, Namibia, you find out that the rate and the penetration of insurance there is higher than in Nigeria. Meanwhile, we have a higher population. We have more resources, we have more awareness in terms of human capacity. But you find out that the insurance penetration in this country is very low. I think that's to do with government legislation. If you want anything in the country, just within our family cycle, there's a tendency you want your family. This is how I want my children to look when they grow up. Then your nurturing tends towards that aspect of development. I want my kids to be medical doctors when they grow up. I want them to have this kind of discipline. But the Nigerian government, when this Share of Insurance came, or when the insurance was introduced to this country, we didn't accept it like the way we accepted banking. But if you even look at banking, for example, you find out that a lot of people are not even putting money in the banking, keeping their money safe in the bank. The reason is that we found out that when we were doing when the cashless policy was introduced during the last about a month ago, we found out that a lot of people have more money outside the banking system.
Yeah.
That's how insurance is. It's our culture. And the government should do more by making a deliberate plan to say, we must have insurance.
Okay, we will come to what the government will do. But what is the insurance sector itself? What are the insurance companies doing to carry this awareness to the people? Because there's been this argument that the insurance companies like the ignorance of the people. For instance, a lot of people who even have this insurance don't know what they need to do in the case of where they should go claim their rights and all that. I give you an instance. On the streets of Lagos, most times we see traffic, not because of anything, but because somebody somewhere has crashed someone, a thing that they could have just put a call through maybe to an insurance company, give evidence and do all the things that they're supposed to do and claim whatever they need to claim. I don't know so much about insurance, but I think there is insurance that if you are in a tight situation, the insurance company bails you out. That's a layman's way of explaining it. But our people do not even know, even when they have this insurance. So people have argued that the insurance companies are happy that if you are supposed to cash out, permit the word, and you are not able to go because you don't know your rights, they make the money and you stay ignorant. So what are you doing to debunk that? What are you doing to educate the people so that people will not see you as people who are comfortable with us being ignorant?
How does ignorance benefit insurance company?
Their money will just remain in your coffers.
No, that's ridiculous. If the people live in ignorance, how do you even develop the economy? Insurance itself is supposed to be the subsector that will prepare the growth of an economy in the country. So why are we going to show ignorance to people? That are you sure those people who had a car, who had that accident, the cars were insured? You know, so sometimes we just believe that the insurance company, the workability of insurance company, or the functionality of insurance company is a mere word. The people just say them because they don't face reality. I'm very sure you that he's talking to me, whether you have insurance policies that you have been turned down when you have claims. In ignorance, because if the world lives in ignorance, why the essence of us going to school is to cure ignorance. So why do you not want to get educated, or you go to school to study insurance, or you set up an insurance company?
But do you
I
do
don't want
anything,
people to be aware because
do you
they
do
want to have
anything
claim.
deliberately to educate the people?
No, what comes first? Is it the claim or
But
the
someone
insurance?
doesn't even know he needs to claim that.
Well, we have done,
Yeah.
On a more serious note,
Yeah.
we have the insurance company in the last 5 years, or last 10 years, I would say, has done very well in terms of trying to educate the Nigerian populace to take up insurance policies. I'm very sure you see a lot of media attention, even the NHIS, especially during the time of Obasanjo's government, when he raised up the standard that, look, every household in this country should have an insurance policy. Even Lagos State government, that any building that has a occupier liability, that has a story building off the floor, must have insurance. And if you want to have any property construction, you must have a CAR, which is called construction or risk, before you can even commence those policies. Those things are in practice. But just that the ignorance you talk about, nobody has gone to say, how does this work? And you see most educated people, because insurance policy, you talked about people say, oh, God, our life is in the hands of God. They don't do anything about it. But when issues come up, they blame insurance company. Oh, I'm not aware. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But they not believing that the policies of insurance is for the benefit of the few. You don't expect to put insurance policy. Let me tell you something very, very important. Somebody came to me one day and said, look, I insure a car, and my policy expired in the next few days. I have not had claim. Can I have my money back? It's part of the ignorance we talked about.
Yeah.
People don't look at policies. People don't take time to look at issues. It's the cultural awareness or the tradition of our country that we always believing that things do not matter. And it's always a problem. You know, it's also akin to the theory of Socrates, where it says, man, know thyself.
Yeah.
Once you recognize your environment, even medical checkup, a lot of people don't go for it.
Yeah, okay. I needed to get that out because when we begin to talk about what the government needs to do, we need also to know what we have done or what we plan to do. And in this case, the we were talking about is the insurance companies, the insurance sector. So we needed to know that. Now, we're going to have a new government come May 29th. And we need to shape the policies that make our people behave the way they behave and change a direction of doing things. Now, in the past, insurance companies, insurance sector, how do I call it, may have suffered a few things because of policies of government. We'd like to know what kind of policies you look forward to being put by the next administration that will make the insurance sector to thrive and the people of Nigeria to benefit.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I answer your question, let me go to, because you asked a question, what the insurance company has been doing in terms of trying to have this penetration. The insurance company, as a matter of, we've gone to the National Assembly to make sure that there is legislation, deliberate one, to make sure that every person in this country have one form of insurance or the other. And we have also, as either individually or togetherly, gone out to say, look, there's advert on radio, a jingle, newspaper advert, like what I'm doing here today. It's part of creating that awareness within the insurance space. Personally, Anchor Insurance, if you go to CNN and other stations, you'll find out that we have a lot of commercial, all for people to get awareness, to understand.
We don't have it
insurance
here.
Yes, because you have not insured, you have not decided to insure your office.
It's a do me or do you thing, right?
So if it's a do me or do you thing, then we'll talk about that after this time out.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
these are some of the things that we are doing. The insurance company, especially the present Commission of Insurance, has really done so much, and especially the NI, the chairman of NI, the present one. We are doing a whole lot in terms of trying to educate our people to understand that insurance is all that we need. And it's even more reasonable to have insurance than even bank. Because when you have issues, it's insurance that comes to that puts you back to the state you were before your loss. They're coming to the new government that is coming to power, or what we expect to see. Everybody in this country what is the essence of government? It's to provide security and happiness. But for me, happiness is much more of it. Because if you are happy, that means there is security, the environment is okay, the process or the administration of that same economy is okay, the culture of the people is evolving. Everything around there's functionality of the state and functionality of the system. This present government, for me, to them, is the coming government is first, you must create that broad economic base where every economic functionalities are working. The banking, the agricultural sector, the oil and gas, there should be more openness and transparency in terms of how we deal with the people. You cannot, and the exchange rate for example, if I tell you the losses we have made in terms of insurance, how much money we have spent in terms of trying to do our security in terms of our insurance abroad. Imagine what the exchange rate is and what you have here. The dollar exchange rate, you have to insure abroad with the lawyers and other companies abroad, because some of the policies we cannot keep here, all border to the same, not having much of that solvency in terms of paying those heavy risks when they come. You have to take them abroad. And imagine what that would cost us. If you have a policy that is about $3,000, for example, and how much money will you translate to have that? And if you come back to say, you talked about the third-party increment. The claims that comes from third party, if I tell you, you'll be wondering, why are you saying that the insurance company, that the populace are not aware about insurance policy? It's like people like you that are not aware, or who refuse to know because you refuse to benefit from insurance. But I am telling you, Nigerians are actually coming out to understand that insurance workability, not just the workability, is functional.
So we take it that those people who resort to fisticuffs on the road are people who may not have insurance policies.
They might not have insurance policies, or even when they have insurance policies, no matter how educated you are, maybe you're going somewhere and there are hindrances. You also come to there's a normal human reaction to say, oh, you hit my car, I have to park, we have to exchange addresses and all that. It's about civility. To understand that, look, if I have a policy, I don't need to quarrel over anything. All you need to do is call insurance company. We pay claims every day. Every day we pay claims. During the cashless issue that we have in the country, the claims are ended from even the estimated value is over 20 billion.
Interesting. You made mention about interaction with the National Assembly
Yes.
Regarding some policies that need to be put in place and all that. How far is that, and how far do you intend to take this advocacy to them, especially the 10th Assembly that is coming?
Well, but the outgoing Assembly, I know that has passed second reading. I don't know where it is at the moment, but it has passed second reading. Maybe when it reconvene, it will pass. But it's our hope that this ninth Assembly, we pass that to law. We do away with it so that the president can sign to law before they leave office. But if that does not happen, the incoming president is somebody who has also introduced policies of assurance in Lagos State, even when he was the governor of Lagos State, which the administration of Lagos State is still carrying on. I hope that also extends to the federal state so that we can have these robust insurance policies where there are policies deliberately by government to ensure that insurance policy, like what is done to banking, the BVN, is we come to preach that, even if it must all sound like a broken record, that these policies are things that must be inherent. Because what you give is what you get. If you do not insure, you do not have anything to fall back on. Insurance is something that brings ultimate happiness, even when you make losses. Even when you lose your loved ones, your life doesn't have to stop. When you have life policies, your life doesn't have to stop. If you have educational plan for your children, even when you go, the insurance will come very handy. And this is what has brought happiness to many homes. But unknown to a lot of persons, they just feel that insurance is not something that works. But I'll tell you, my brother, it's something that works so much that even me as an insurance person, I have benefits. Recently, I had my car accidented, and it was fixed without any question. And these are some of the things we also want to encourage Nigerians, that this administration that is coming in the National Assembly, if we take National Assembly, they should come out and talk about insurance, not just talking about it for the sake of insurance. But funny enough, let me tell you something. The insurance company has a way they have remunerations developing the economy, because we also contribute. We pay taxes, we do all sort of. Imagine all insurance, 240 million Nigerians have one form of policy or the other. And for every returns that goes back to government is about 1%. Imagine how much the government will raise from insurance policies for the development, even taxes that come from insurance company. Now this year we've crossed about 780 billion premium income for 2022. You can imagine the amount of taxes, either VAT or normal taxes that are going, additional tax that will come back from insurance policies. The more policies we have, the more robust the economy will be. Insurance sector is also be like the subsector of the economy where people operate them away. If you go to that part of the country, even Togo here, if you do not have insurance, you don't have thoroughfare. In terms of your driving, in terms of your policies, even going to the bank.
Okay, well, they say our economy is in bad shape. We wouldn't know, some of us who are not economists know that, but we do know that life is not very easy with us. So we're attributing that to the economy. Now, the incoming administration will have to do a little bit of a shake here and there for the economy to thrive. If you were to advise the incoming government, what would you say?
Well, for me, as an insurance practitioner, insurance should be encouraged. Because let me tell you what the issue is. Most of the issues we have is the recurrent expenditures that comes, things that you have done. You go back redoing them after the other. I'm not talking about salary, I'm talking about, imagine the house of a government got burnt, and you have to go to another budgetary allocation to build it again. When you can push your hand into your insurance pool, insurance companies and ask them for claims. I don't want to mention the state. I traveled one time. I got to a state and I saw the government building, very dilapidated. And I was asking why I said it was fire outbreak that happened sometimes in January. And I asked why was it not fixed. Luckily enough, I was going to have a meeting with the excellency of the state, the governor of the state. And when I met him, I said, sir, I'm here to discuss insurance with you, but I'm coming, something touched me that I felt so bad. And the governor is very educated, who understands insurance. Even some of them read abroad, who understand the policy of insurance, that even before you go to any university, you must have insurance policy for you to study, for you to adapt life policy within the school domain. And I asked the excellency, I said, why is that building lying fallow? He said, because the National Assembly, they have to come out to make budget, supplementary budget for them to occupy the place. I said, that was wrong. The policy, what you spend to do that is going to be much more higher than the amount of money that was used to build it, because the building was there a long time ago. But it's something that you just insured and pay some certain amount of money. All insurance company needs to do, all you need to do is to inform your insurance company, my house is on fire. In 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you will see that house standing back.
Interesting. Well, you've heard it, Nigerians. The next government is coming in, and we're talking about our economy. One of the things that is very worrisome is the way the economy is. We talk about security, we talk economy, we talk education, and so many other things that bother us. And one of the aspects of this economy that needs to be touched, according to Mr. Osega, is insurance. And everybody who is coming back or coming to be at the helm of affairs should take it really seriously so that our economy can grow. So let's just assume that you are having this meeting with all the governors and the president or that is coming in, the people that are coming in. Just tell them as a final word what they need to do, specifics of things that they need to do in as long as or as short as 2 minutes.
For me, they need to look at the culture of the society, look at the administrative process of the country, restructuring in terms of restructuring the economic indices, and also be very keen to look at the geography. When I mean geography, I mean places. If you have the north, you have more agriculture. If you come to the south, a lot of crops growing. We are so blessed in this country that there is so much resources. Then we talk about economic homogeneity. What I'm talking about, the cage analysis, that should be the basis of which this government, my advice, they should operate, so that we can have this economic homogeneity. Because if that happens, there's improvement in economic, insecurity, development, infrastructure development, all those things will take place. We should look inward and do away with the idea that I don't want to build on what other government. There are many things this government have done that are very beautiful, that you have to look into and say, okay, no matter how it is, there's no need to set up in another foundation that when you don't complete the foundation they already have. So this is better. You look at where we're coming from, where we are going. You see, the most intriguing things about life itself is that you must ask some certain questions: where, how, when. These are basic questions this government should ask before they come into taking some decisions that will affect the populace. If we have places in Niger Delta that has to do with oil, diversification of the economy is also very, very important, because we can only put all our eggs in one basket as a people and begin to look at that, encourage other places of education. And more so, education and infrastructural development. Education is very important. Our team youth out of school children, those issues are something we need to also address. Okay. So the more development, the more infrastructure, the more education, the more insurance and more policies we want to write. So at the end of the day, we are concerned about those things. So grow all in this will be functionality of the economy, not one sector, but entirety of the economy, so that the populace can have peace and come to live and enjoy this country.
All right. We've been talking with Mr. Ebose Augustine Osega, CEO, Anchor Insurance, and the Insurance Man of the Year, giving us pointers how our economy can be revamped and Nigeria can move from strength to strength. We'd like to thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program. And once again, congratulations for the award that you won.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
We'll take a short break, and when we return, we will be looking at the political imbroglio in Imo State. Stay with us.
And look at the youthful energy that we have that is doing nothing. You know, so I'm just giving you a few examples of how, if we increase production, then the cost of living in Nigeria will fall. And not only that, the other side of it is that as we increase production, we are creating jobs, employment for the young men and women who are lazing about now doing nothing. Because labor is a factor of production. And we're not using labor in Nigeria. So many graduates leave class, and maybe a class of 100 will graduate. Maybe about 2 to 5 of them will get a job. The rest of them are just doing nothing. Imagine if we have 95 of them working immediately, and just 5 of them still looking for work. You can imagine how much production that will be happening in Nigeria. So what can we do? The incoming government, because the Buhari government is already on the way out, we can't tell them anything again. So to set the agenda for the incoming government, they need to take care of the basic things: increase electricity, bring in rail, boost agriculture with mechanization, take care of law enforcement so that some militants don't come and drive farmers away from their farms. Just those kind of basic things, you will see that Nigeria will take off and will start heading to becoming a developed nation.
Won election in the US in 2008. What happened? Some people in 13 states moved the motion of secession from the Confederation. It was an open thing. Some people from 13 states were trying to quote the Constitution that they can succeed because they never liked Obama, a black man, to be president. So if chooses to tear his old passport, unused passport, in the name of being angry, that person is insignificant. Maybe I've left Nigeria. So why is he carrying your passport? You are abroad. Why not stay in Nigeria? We're not in Nigeria. Are we fools? We are making a living out of Nigeria. I've not left this country. All that I've made in life is in Nigeria. I've not left Nigeria. I only go out of Nigeria for holidays. So all that I've made in Nigeria, all that I've made in my life is in Nigeria. People have made it big in Nigeria. So if you choose to be a refugee abroad, because you are lazy, you cannot eke out to live in Nigeria, and you are abroad, and you are instigating your country and tearing your passport. That is your responsibility. You are insignificant. Just like that statement Bodijo is talking about living in Nigeria, he's one man. And people have left. And we are all here. As I'm driving now, there are people who are hawking on the street, eking out a living. Go to the UK, there are people who are hawking on the street. I've traveled wide in this world.
You're welcome back. Labour Party has condemned the invasion and occupation of party secretariat, including thugs and unauthorized policemen drafted from the government house, and also ahead of the Imo State governorship election scheduled for November 11. The Labour Party has also been under fire for fixing the price of its expression of interest and nomination forms at 25 million, a whopping 25 million. Well, joining us to discuss the crisis at the national level and also preparations for the primaries in Imo State is retired Colonel Chinyere Obi, Labour Party chieftain. And we're hoping also to be joined by Chinedu Amadi, Labour Party governorship aspirant in Imo State. Thank you very much, Colonel, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's just begin from the national scene. There is a Lamidi Apapa who is insisting that he is the authentic or the acting chairman of Labour Party right now. Is that a consensus decision that gave him that position, or is just arrogating powers to himself?
He's just arrogating power for himself. Nobody gives him any power.
So what's happening at the national level now? Who is leading Labour Party right now?
It's supposed to be Abure, but the people now came and brought talks. And then when they brought talks, if you are Abure, he finds his way through the back door. Because the way they came, they are coming to destroy. They are not coming for peace. Because when they came in, they went upstairs and started shouting, Labour, Labour, Labour. Let me come here. I don't know why is Labour. There's PDP, there's ABCA, but why Labour? Everybody is out for Labour. It wasn't like this before, but immediately they saw that P2P is their headache. Everybody's attacking Labour now, which is not supposed to be like that. It has been peace, peace, peace. Like the president to P2P said, everybody should be calm. Like they said, let's move to courts. And we're already in courts. So I don't still see why they are fighting us, why we are still in courts. I don't see the reason why they should come to Labour headquarters. Only God knows who sent them. But they are not one of the Labour party. And they are not one of the obedient. So I don't know where they are coming from.
Okay.
It's only God that knows.
Before now, you were supporting a PDP candidate in the 2019 general elections, and now you are Labour. What changed?
When I supported a PDP, that's Article, I went with 1936 states with Article and P2P. I always go and visit prison. I played football for him. I know how much I spent. But when I saw that there's nothing coming out of PDP, and I was there that very day when they paid 100 million for each ticket, PDP that time. But when I see there's nothing coming out of, I didn't see anything that will come out of PDP and Article. Because he always do, when anything they happen, he will not go back to Dubai and forget about us. Even when we went to Supreme Court, I was there shouting, we need our mandate. We went to her INEC and shouted. But the person we are fighting for does not care about the poor masses. So that's why, and when I saw that P2P as decapped, I followed him to decap as well.
Okay. I understand that we're being joined by Honorable Chinedu Amadi, a Labour Party governorship aspirant. Honorable Amadi, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on your program.
Okay, Labour Party in Imo State. First of all, the expression of interest form is very, very high, hoping 25 million we hear. What informed that, first of all, and how are the people taking it?
Is that question for me?
Yes, it's for you, Honorable Amadi. You are in the race. I'm sure that you spent that much. How are the people taking it?
I think the matter has been resolved, and Labour, as a listening party, has actually moved on from that form pricing. You know, it was reviewed downwards to 15 million, and that matter is done and dealt with. So we're now on course with the primaries for Labour Party.
And how many of you are standing in for this position, are running these primaries to get the ticket to contest as Labour governorship candidates?
I didn't hear you clearly.
How many of you are the contenders under Labour Party?
We are 16. Presently, we are 15. We lost one of the aspirants, Barrister Humphrey Anumodu. May so rest in peace. And so we are 15 on course.
Okay. Let me go back to Cornell. You said that you left the PDP because you didn't see anything coming out of PDP. You are now in Labour because the prospects are higher and all that. But you are in a state where the incumbent is APC, and he also is qualified to stand again to run for governorship. What are the chances of Labour Party in a state like Imo State? We already know that Imo State, you know, before we got the governor that is sitting right now, we still do not understand how it went. What do you think will happen? How do you think Labour Party will fare in that state, Imo State?
Yeah, in this, our Imo State, I have been here for complete 6 months now that I came back to Imo State from Abuja. And what I'm seeing in Imo State, the war is no more politics, it's now war. And the war in Imo State now has become survival of the fittest. And what I'm saying at my age, by June 6th, I'll be 74 years. I'm not seeing anything in labor. Because the way they are looking at this is no more politics. It's no more, let me come in and see if I win. They are fighting a battle that is either we win or we fight. It's a war. But let them remember, I'm asking their parents, that they are coming to fight somebody who said that it will be over my dead body for somebody to take that seat. And me and you know the way he came in last time, from fourth position to governorship. And what I'm saying now, there's somebody who can fight him. That is General Jack Ogunlewe. Nobody else. Because this is the man that is a general in the army and retired. I'm not praising him because I'm a colonel. I'm praising him because I just met him once at the airport. And I know what he's capable of doing. And I know he's the only one that can fight this fight. And at least if he comes in, he has already, and the present government are shaking now that he's a general in the army that is going to fight this fight. And then we can have peace in Owerri. Because we don't have peace now. All what we have here is, I'm from Imo State anyway, Idato precisely. But there's a war in Imo State. If you go to the secretariat, you will know. These people will come and say they are the new one. They will go to court and put court injunction. And the next one will come and say they are the old one. This is politics. This is not when we're in the army. This is not when you are fighting a war, a Komok war. You are fighting a war. It's either one. Out of these 15, he's saying, it's only one person that will march for delegates.
Okay, well,
and it's only one person that will fight.
It's a good thing that Honorable Amadi is here. Honorable Amadi, she has just said she throws in her cap for the general, but you are in the race as well. What are you bringing to the table that you think will mark you out, will stand you out among your peers?
Oh, thank you for the question. I will start by trying to address some of the positions of the, You see, one of the problems of Nigeria, light goes off and on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So address the question about insecurity. I believe that's one area that needs to be properly addressed when it comes to governance in Imo State. You know, so rightly as she pointed out, the way the incumbent came into power is, of course, a challenge, and that has agitated the spirit of Imolites. They've never found it comfortable within themselves to see such a thing happen in the state. And that is one of the factors that is triggering the insecurity issue in the state. Now, that coupled with the high rate of unemployment in the state, on record, you would know that Imo State has the highest unemployment rate in Nigeria, with a thriving youth population nearing 3 million. That is a time bomb on its own. So But I want us to look at Imo State and we see a smaller model of Nigeria in Imo. It shares similarities with Imo. The problems in Nigeria is similar to those of Imo. You look at insecurity that is ravaging the country. And of course, we have a general as the president of the country, and yet we couldn't solve the problem of insecurity. So now, similar to Imo State, if we want to solve the problem, first we have to give the people the mandate, the kind of governor that they want. That will give them peace of mind. And I give you assurance that the moment you do that, you would have about 50% of these tensions going on in Imo State disappear. Then the rest will be on how to deal with the insecurity itself, the remaining part of it. And that has to do with revamping the economy, reviving the economy, creating employment, going back to the farmlands, creating agric industries, creating manufacturing industries, getting the youth busy. They say the idle mind is the devil's workshop. The youth have not engaged themselves in negative vices because there's nothing to do. So the problem must say lies more in the economy rather than us looking at insecurity. The bedrock of that insecurity is first the injustice, then secondly, the high rate of unemployment. You deal with these two things, you will have Imo State on proper cover. Then you will now follow up with intelligence monitoring. I tell you, with 2 drones in the forest of Osu, Oru East, and Oru West, and you have a security center, you can monitor the activities, and begin to address them or mobilize your security agencies properly to go, not to go in blindly, because it's when they go in blindly that innocent souls are taken off and causes more grievances in the society. So that is the problem of Imo State. And I think it has nothing to do with the being a general. And if we want to look at examples worldwide, we can take Ukraine and Russia, and we see a president who used to be a comedian, who is now fighting the war with Russia and doing so very well with it. So, and lastly, I would say that once you become a governor or a head of state, you become a general yourself because the security agencies line up with you. So I don't believe in the fact that the incumbent is a lion. I think that is an over-description. We need to properly align things, and look at security from the point of intelligence monitoring, putting innovation and technology into security issues and addressing it properly, then creating a viable economy for Imo State. And that is the real point we have to focus on. Once we get that done, Imo State will get back on course. Okay. And I think with my exposure, first, my exposure working in the oil industry, running various ventures, real estate, IT, farms, and also heading an organization that looks at capacity building for youth and women. I know that I have all the qualities. I'm already looking at the vision of Imo for the next 40 years. Where do we want to get our infrastructure to? Okay. Right now, we are sitting on an infrastructure that is 40 years old. Right. Things built by Dr. Simon Bakwe. We need to get Imo ready for another 40 years. Okay. And that's where we're going.
Thank
I'm
you.
Youthful,
Thank you very much.
I think out of the box. I'm very analytical.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We do know.
Let me ask you a question.
Just a moment. Okay. Just a moment. I know that the contenders may be up to 16, like you have said, and whoever emerges after the primaries, I know all of you will queue behind that person. The contenders include also the immediate past chairperson of International Federation of Women Lawyers Association, FIDA, Imo State, Ndidi Vale Keoma, and so many other people. But the issue here is that when somebody emerges and you are going into this election, there are two opposing forces against you that will be working against you. The incumbent, who is APC. We also have PDP, which is likely to have a consensus candidate. Remember that Emeka Ihedioha, who was the governor for a time and now left because of the Supreme Court ruling, and it is now someone else who is sitting there, has said that he's no longer contesting. So it seems they're going to have a consensus, maybe in the person of Senator Samuel Anyanwu, who is the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. So these two forces, a major opposition party in the country, having a consensus candidate, and then you're having the incumbent who is of the APC. So does it not give you worry that Labour Party may come a distant third or fourth in the election? What do you think that you can do to make sure the table turn in your favor? Let me start with you, Colonel. As a party, what are the chances of Labour knowing these two other parties are standing with you? Yeah.
I want to ask him a question. He's talking about security. Do we have security in Imo State? The answer is no. On the 18th, I was shot on my leg. I still have the wound with gunshot for House of Assembly in my own local government, Idaho State. And I'm just asking a question. Chiedu, Honorable Chiedu, this Imo State need a security. Without security, listen when they say sit at home. So many people were killed when they said every Monday people should sit at home.
Let's just try to wrap up, Colonel. Let's just try to wrap up. We're concerned about the chances of Labour Party. I know that all this, you will iron them out when the primaries are over, but the chances of Labour Party, now, whoever emerges.
General Lincoln Ogunlewe is the only person that can salvage Imo State. Come for security. When you talk about security, this is the man that knows what is security all about. I'm a retired colonel. I know what security is all about. We are security conscious. But here, Imo State has no security. And I believe that nobody can fight this man if it's not General Ogunlewe. He's the only one that he did it in Abia State, and I believe that he will do it in Imo State. Because he's the only people like that bringing all the soldiers that is not even real. When you even tell them esprit de corps, they don't know what is it. Advanced to be recognized, they don't know what it is. Then it's only his own soldiers that we ask these questions. And we now flush all the soldiers that are coming up now because it's going to be a war.
It's unfortunate that we may not have time to deal with all the issues that we need to deal with, but we would just like to wish Labour Party good luck in the forthcoming elections. We do hope that you will put all differences aside. You will be able to elect someone at the primaries that can wrestle power, as it were, from the incumbent and from the major opposition party, and form a new or give a new breath, fresh breath, as they say, to Imo State. We do hope that that will happen. But if it doesn't happen, we do still hope that Imo State will be the better for it, whatever outcome the election is going to give us. Thank you so much, Honorable Chinedu Amadi, for coming on the program. We wish you luck as well. And also Colonel Chinyere Obi, retired Labour Party chieftain. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we've been talking with chieftains of Labour Party in Imo State. One is an aspirant and the other one is a supporter of an aspirant, but both of them are chieftains of Labour Party, and they're talking to us about what is going on in Imo State, and their hopes are high. We keep our fingers crossed, we see what comes out of that, but we pray for a better Nigeria and all the federating units of Nigeria. And that's how we're going to wrap it up on the show tonight. See you again tomorrow. My name is Nyamgul Agaji.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
My name is Idore Intoye Arulogun. Everybody calls me ID. I am a wife, a mother, an author, and also a culture, culinary, and clothing enthusiast. And here is my good old days story. I was born in Uyo, in the then southeastern state of Nigeria, which later became Cross River State, out of which the present-day Akwa Ibom State was carved out from. My parents were educationists. Both were principals of schools at some time and were at various times on postings to different parts of the state. It was known as being posted to your station in those days. Sometimes, Dad and Mom were posted to different towns and the family came together on weekends. We attended a number of primary schools, subject to where our parents were posted to, and eventually we settled in Uyo, where they took on higher responsibilities in their careers. Akwa Ibom has a very rich and robust food and clothing culture. Delicious and fresh food is cooked at homes and in restaurants. Story has it that people posted to work there, even youth coppers, usually delay their return to their respective abodes as they relish and enjoy the many delicacies that kept them coming for more. Growing up was interesting. Being born to an Ibibio father, Obong Asukwo Ekpe Udo, and a Yoruba mother, Mrs. Ayo Orebo Udo, it was interesting to see two cultures attempting to blend. Due to this, it was and has always been easy for me to understand discourses around the unity of Nigeria due to this fact of my parents coming from different parts of Nigeria. Uyo then was a little town with a roundabout in the middle of town, which was called Circus. 5 major roads emerged from the circus, and every other street emerged from the 5. It was commonly joked that if you came into town and did not know the address of the person you came to see, simply stand at the circus and be sure to see the person pass by in a bit. At that time, you knew your neighbors, both adults and young. At that time also, people's cars could be identified by others by their registration numbers. My favorite time of the year was Christmas. It was the time different dance troupes comprising of dancers, drummers, and other instrumentalists, and of course their supporters, came to entertain from house to house. Traditional dances and masquerades like Abang, Ekombi, Itembe, Ekpo, and Nabo would come out to perform. After their performances, they were usually rewarded in cash or kind by their hosts, and then they moved on to repeat the performance in another compound. It was also the time for loads of enjoyment and merriment with lots to eat and drink. One thing that I remember was commonplace was that people greeted one another a lot. It was expected that you greet your elders when you see them, unlike now that young people just walk past you. Greeting is just an attribute of good upbringing and training. There are many others. Should the young people be left to continue this way, with the excuse that these are different times, the modern age? Should we see other societal wrongs and look away to mind our businesses? I don't think so. In order to expect a better future, let us get involved in pointing the young ones in the right direction, so that they too can learn good lessons they can teach the generation after theirs, thereby giving hope for a brighter tomorrow. We can change the narrative. If you think moral standards were high in those days, we have a major role to play in bringing it back. All hope is not lost. Let us consciously, in our own little space, impact on the upcoming ones those values we so much cherished while growing up. Once we achieve a high degree of compliance, then we can be more certain about a better future. I support Sashimure Badejo in this drive towards changing the narrative of reference to the good old days, but rather pushing the story that a better and greater tomorrow is possible. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Musayome Saleh, and guess who is back? Our Polish coach. Hello, no, my fan.
Hello.
We have missed you.
I'm Jenny. I have missed you all too.
How have you been?
That is a very serious question to answer, but it is well.
It is well, right?
It is well, yeah. It's a whole package unleashing itself.
It's for the best.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of sacrifices need to be made if we
You
have
can
to make
say
some changes
that
in our lives.
again. Can say that again.
So we understand. Hey Jenny, baby, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
She's looking like a baby.
Yes, so oh, baby girl. How was your day?
It was fine.
How was
It's
the
still
weekend?
a public holiday, so
Right?
I'm happy.
Yes.
But yeah.
I actually wanted to shelve some things to go do them tomorrow, but I remembered the free road.
Yeah.
You can't
You
trade
can't
it.
have that tomorrow. Definitely.
I can't have that. So I quickly did at least the majority of what I wanted to do. I ran some errands today. So, I mean, I needed to do those things. So I'm grateful to God that I chose today to do it because
that was an excellent decision you made.
I'm telling you, the traffic.
I heard the traffic has been monstrous.
Very, very. All right, so as we had mentioned, a few weeks back, that in line with understanding what governance would look like or holding our leaders accountable, we're partnering with Enough is Enough to bring issues or bring about information rather to the public to discuss different things. It's going to cut across everything. And this today we want to talk about the Office of the Citizens. We have a few slides we'd like to just share with you. It's just to pass information. I believe that if we know better, we'll do better. So imagine if citizens are a lot more enlightened, because I believe most of the challenges that we faced as a people is, first of all, the biggest one is ignorance. We do not know. So, I mean, when you don't know something, you don't even know when the time is right for you to question it. So that's why we're bringing issues around governance, again, in partnership with Enough is Enough. I mean, we had Yemi Adamoleko, so she had promised she would be dosing us with a lot of information, and we truly want to shift away from politics and focus on governance and leadership, right? So if we focus on governance and we say, okay, you know what, those people that are now in the seats of power, how do we hold them accountable, to those seats that they occupy, and what are they supposed to be doing? What are they doing right? What are they not doing? Then what's our role as citizens as well in ensuring that they keep up to, their own side of the what's it called? The side of whatever promises they've made. So that's part of why we're having this conversation. So who is going to go first? Will that be you, Jennifer, or Norma?
No,
okay.
Okay, so
yeah, it's just to read your slides, and if they were kind enough to flash the pictures. Let me see if I can pull out mine.
I'm trying to find that. Okay. Well, I'm trying to pull it out. It's not pulling out.
Why is it not coming?
Okay. All right. So my slide says, my rights. I have a fundamental right to life, to dignity of my person, to personal liberty, fair hearing, private and family life, freedom of thought, conscience and religion, freedom of expression, peaceful assembly and association, freedom of movement, freedom from discrimination, and acquire and own innovative property anywhere in Nigeria. And my second slide says my responsibilities are to abide by this Constitution, respect its ideals and its institutions, the national flag, the national anthem, the national pledge, and the legitimate authorities. Being proudly Nigerian, to help enhance Nigeria's power and reputation, defend Nigeria, and render such national service as may be required, and to live in unity and harmony, respect the dignity, rights, and legitimate interests of other citizens, and finally, community engagement, make positive contributions to the progress and well-being of my country. Those are my responsibilities.
Absolutely. I like the fact that we're breaking it down. So you first of all know your rights as a citizen, the office of a citizen, then you then know your responsibilities. It's not
it's
enough.
A two-way street.
It's a two-way street, yes. It's not enough for you to say, oh, everything government.
There's
wisdom,
the part of the government to play, and there's a
absolutely,
part of the citizen to play.
Absolutely. And that's why this is important. So it's not just for us to wake up and be shouting, our leaders, our leaders, our leaders. Now there are roles for everybody. For us to cook the soup, make it sweet. Everybody's part has to be well, labeled, and you must play your part. And Jennifer, you go ahead, please.
So to continue on what your responsibilities are, the fifth one is to support law enforcement. So this means you assist appropriate and lawful agencies in maintaining law and order. 6, pay taxes. Declare my income honestly to appropriate and lawful agencies and pay my tax promptly. In addition, participate in the governance process, which we already did. An easy guide to participation is the acronym RSVP. R stands for register, so register to vote, select credible candidates, vote not fight, protect your vote on election day, and engage government officials after election. And there's something else that you need to know even after fulfilling all of this. You need to know your elected officials. And you can always reach out to Office of the Citizen chat box. Send hello via WhatsApp to 017006381. So to know your elected officials, you need to know the governors, the senators, the House of Representative members, the State House of Assembly members, local government chairman, and councillors. Then for elections, this includes registration, PVC collection, polling unit locator, and debates. Remember, send hello via WhatsApp to 017006381.
Absolutely. I like the fact that number 6 is on that list of your responsibilities. That's paying your taxes. You see, let me tell you something. Why the Western world that we all run to works is because number 6 is not joked with.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Nigeria is one of the cheapest places to live in because you can make so much money and you can actually you can do without paying taxes.
Yeah.
So imagine if we all just became responsible. I remember when Fashola was building, when he was governor and he was building the Lagos homes, the scheme. The only thing he kept on saying was that this scheme was going to benefit taxpayers. And I can tell you for free, because there was an incentive, a lot of people willingly went to LIRS to go and say, okay, this is how much I earn, this is what I want to do. And I'll start paying. And guess what eventually happened? A lot of people that were never homeowners were the ones that got those houses just because of one thing. They were taxpayers. So I had started paying my taxes earlier before that year that this was announced.
Yeah.
So I could automatically qualify. Even though where I was working then, they were deducting money from my salary, but they were not remitting those taxes. But because I had my own private personal business that I was doing and I was paying my taxes, I could qualify for that scheme. So I like what we're saying because, you see, we should know our roles. That number 6 is very important. That is why healthcare is better. That is why a lot of things, they have better road networks. They have better education. They have better cost of living. That paying of taxes. I just want to quickly say that I'll leave you with a quote that says, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. As simple as that. So today we want to take on a conversation that we would continue, in the course of the week. But we want to start off the conversation, and it is on this, what's it called? The doctors, the bill that's been passed or that has moved to second reading or has passed second reading on doctors being mandated to stay 5 years after housemanship, just, so that they can, stay back and reduce the brain drain that is happening in the medical field. And here's what we found as today's quote. And we want to tie that to exemplary leadership, right? It is almost impossible to command without being an exemplar and to lead without helping those whom you wish to take into your laps, right? So a bill seeking to mandate Nigerian trained medical and dental practitioners to practice for a minimum of 5 years in the country before being granted a full license on Thursday last week passed second reading at the House of Representatives. Now, this bill seeks to amend the Medical and Dental Practitioner Act of 2004 to address the brain drain in Nigerian healthcare sector. Now, if passed into law, medical and dental practitioners trained in the country will have to practice for at least 5 years before they are granted a full license. Now, today we're discussing exemplary leadership in respect to this bill. But first, let's quickly go on a break. When we come back from the break, we want to see what we found in today's news. All right, you are still watching Ways Now, typically celebrated with church services. Easter Monday is a Christian holiday that marks the day after Jesus Christ rose from the dead, according to the Christian faith. Now, many people also use this day to be with friends and families and may participate in traditional activities such as decorating Easter eggs or having a special Easter meal. I'm not sure about this egg matter because I read about the history of the egg. I said, But how did you celebrate your Easter Monday quickly?
Well, I went to my church where I started from, Baptist Church, and it was just so surreal to see everyone and advance in age. It's funny how time flies, and then when there's so much time in between and then you reconnect, it's like, wow, a lot has happened. It was really, really beautiful today, just seeing everyone and living well, advancing in age. But yes, it was good. It was spent in church. 4 hours of service. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I was gonna go there. I said, "How we never go there?" Like any service we don't pass 1 hour 30 minutes. I'm sorry, it's not for me. Because I mean, these traditional churches, right? When you go to church, like you practically see people sleeping. Can't you just do chap? As in, I thank God for the new generational pastors that now developed a formula, because it doesn't make 4 hours, 5 hours in doing what?
In the presence
of the Lord. Hallelujah. All right, so let me start with Jennifer. What did you find for us in the news?
Okay, so blackmailer records sexual intercourse with ladies and sells nudes. So this story broke out, that was last week. Yeah, but I think they just decided to file a report. Officially, yeah. So there was a lady who was calling out a guy who used to work in Nesu, but then he currently works in another company, and she's saying that she found out that she was dating him at the time, but then what she noticed was that whenever she was having sexual intercourse with him, there was this laptop that was open, but it was blank. So if you're not suspecting, you would not know that anything was happening. But what he does is that he secretly takes pictures and makes videos of that entire activity, and then he sells it to people. And there were lots of proof, because I saw this on Twitter, there were lots of proof of Telegram groups that were open, where people were actually asking, where men were asking for these nudes, and they were actually paying for it. And a lot of witnesses, women who were coming out and sending messages of how he harassed them, he stalked them, and so many other things have been happening. So they're still trying to catch him right now. Be careful.
Horrible things are happening. I can't imagine having people's private experience being published for the public without your permission.
But how is that possible, though?
Well, if he's tech
so
savvy,
they'll send the laptop to go to sleep, like sleep mode, but the camera is on.
Those that are tech savvy know how.
I'm sure there is a way they maneuver something like that. Because I think one thing was, what she said was, when she ended things with him and he was trying to blackmail her, he started sending pictures. So I think someone received a nude picture of herself, and she was like, "I never took this picture myself. I never sent it to you. So how do you have it?" So unsuspectingly, you just be in the room with him, and then he does things like this, and he has done it to several
hidden cameras.
Yeah, hidden cameras, like several women. Several women.
Be careful you date you. That's all I can say. Don't mind your story.
Okay, mine is still on the story that we're part of what we're discussing this evening. It's about the full list that UK has. UK stops recruiting healthcare workers from Nigeria and 53 other countries. So the red list of countries out. A lot of countries. We have Bangladesh, we have Nigeria, we have Burkina Faso, we have over 53 countries who have currently been banned from being recruited, doctors, nurses, and all. And this, the UK government says that it is due to the revised code of practice, having revised their code of practice, and due to conversations going on that it's unfair, some countries are losing in the area of healthcare and social welfare, so that they had to revise it and they had to stop including Nigerians from being recruited, and then most recruiters, employers of labor, are also need to look at the list to know which countries have been banned, so that you don't recruit from from such countries. But I'm sure we'll still
I was
delve
even
into
just
that.
going to touch on it briefly to say that I saw a video on social media where a woman, I think she's a nurse, she was accusing Nigerians of being part of why they were added to this list.
Okay.
That so recruiters normally would give certain kinds of forms or something, and that thing is free. So what Nigerians now started doing was they will go and sell that
Form to
the
people.
recommendation letter or something to people for thousands of pounds. So because again, you know the desperate situation of people wanting to leave the country and all of that. So I think again that was smoked out, and that's part of why, you know, they will not just give you the full list. But she's in the UK and she says she knows a lot of people will come for her. But truth is, they also did some findings and investigation, and they found out that people were selling those recruiters. It's not so, it is us doing ourselves. That was what she was just saying, that when would Nigerians learn, you know, to stop,
do things right.
do things right. So my story is actually very troubling. I'm trying to hold myself, but maybe let me call for the video first. You watch the video, then I'll come back.
Who's here? Then I think finally here also. And sir, my tongue.
I've been trying to hold myself. So the 14th Dalai Lama, 87 years old, known to his people, has apologized after an unsettling video appeared on social media in which he stuck out his tongue and asked a young boy to suck his tongue. He apologized, saying that normally he plays around and, you know, that he knows that the family, they will feel hurt. You know, this boy was actually the one who asked to come give him a hug. The boy hugged him. It should have finished there. He asked for a peck on his cheek. It should have finished there. The next thing, he stuck out, he asked for a kiss on his lip. He still did not stop there. He then asked the young boy to, stuck out his tongue and asked the young boy to suck his tongue. You know what, we're going to discuss this matter tomorrow. But I want to say that, you see, pedophilia is not something that people should joke with. And it comes in different, you know, revered, whatever. I have sons, you know, there were just so many things that were wrong for me in that video. You could visibly see this young boy really uncomfortable. But again, because he was interfacing with someone that is revered, right, he couldn't say no. So that's why I'm saying that I will shelve the conversation for tomorrow. Because I really want to understand, if you were a parent, what would you do? And, you know, how parents are raising their children. Because again, some children will be bold enough to tell that man, no, sorry, I can't do that. But the boy could not, you know, he had to oblige him. And people were around laughing. How is that even funny? You are not my father. You are not my mother. You're not related to me in any way. But we'll take a break. Let's discuss medical issues today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, a leader is someone who can see how things can be improved and who rallies people to move towards that better version or better vision. Leaders can work towards making their vision a reality while putting people first. It is universally acknowledged that good leaders change the world, and people don't simply become good leaders. It requires conscious effort and hard work and utmost determination. Now, the brain drain in the Nigerian health care system did not start out of the blues. The doctors and health workers have been dealing with unpaid salaries, declining work environment, and dilapidated infrastructure for the longest time. And this can only be linked to bad leadership. So today we are asking, what is exemplary leadership? And is this bill mandating doctors to practice in Nigeria for 5 years the way to go? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wage Show Africa1 with the hashtag Wage Show. All right, so let me just quickly give an overview. Now, this bill has reached or passed the second reading. And if approved or if signed into law, what it means is that after your housemanship, from what I understand, is that, normally you would do your 2-year housemanship. Mm-hmm. After your housemanship, you would not be given a license as a medical doctor. Your license will be withheld. Then you are then mandated to work 5 years within Nigeria. And this bill was proposed. I can't remember the senators, the House member's name now that proposed that bill. And this is his own, he has thought really hard and long. And this is the idea, or this is the solution that could come to him. That why don't we make our medical students, medical when they graduate and everything, why don't we get them to stay 5 years before they leave? Let's not give them their license. First of all, what are your thoughts?
Well, personally, I think that we, a lot of times, act before we think through the consequences of our actions.
Putting the cart before the horse.
Most of the time. Our leaders, from their actions, show a lot of times that they do not have people in mind when they're making these decisions. When I heard, when I was looking at this bill and the story behind it, I remembered when I was in the university and I did a 5-year course that I ended up graduating 6 years later. And there were medical students who spent up to 10 years in school reading medicine. And then I finished.
That was supposed to be how many years?
Medical, I think it's 7 years, and then you do housemanship 1 year. So but with strike, you end up adding like 2 years. So say 10 years, and then you finish, and then you go do youth service, and then you tell me to add another 5 years before I can decide to take my life in my hands. And a lot of times I'm asking myself, you will say again, Madam Consideration, if you were the one that spent all that time in school and you wanted a better life, is this the path that you would have wanted to go? Medical students, people who are looking for better, because you've not created that environment that can help me to thrive. Leadership is about creating environments that helps people to thrive. You want to forcefully keep me for 5 years. You have not created a conducive environment for me to be able to thrive. And then you want to enforce what you think is best for me. And that's why, to a large extent, so I feel that this is very inconsiderate of our leaders, because we always like to cut the branches without going to the deep root of the matter. What is causing these doctors, nurses, and medical practitioners to want to leave their country in the first place? What is causing them that urge to move is because the environment is not created for them to thrive. I know very intelligent doctors and medical practitioners, but if they tell you how some of them have not been paid, how what they pay cannot even help them to live the kind of life, not even frivolous now, just basic ability to be able to just.
So let me even add, because that's what is being flashed on this end. Let me just add, then you can continue with the conversation. Add a bit of context to what you've said. So it says, as it stands, Abia State government employed doctors are being owed 24 months for those working in the Abia State University Teaching Hospital, right? Now, the resident doctors working in this same Abia State University Teaching Hospital are being owed 22 months, while the doctors working in general hospitals, otherwise called the Health Management Board, are being owed 13 months' salary.
And the response to that was that they need to come and work so that they can generate the funds to pay them. I don't know if we think and we put ourselves in the position of the human being who is at the receiving end of these things before we make the comments that we make. If it was your son or your daughter that was put in this position, will you stand up for it? That's the question. And this is about exemplary leadership. How does it show me that you have my interests at heart when you make decisions that do not empower me, that do not help me to thrive? So I feel that they need to really sit down and look at this situation a lot more holistically.
Okay, so in line with what you've just said, right? Yakubu Olorigbe, that's the chairman of Senate Committee on Health, described the proposed strategy as inadequate to address the multifaceted drawback, he called it, of the Nigerian healthcare and incapable of resolving the key issues, like Norma just said, that makes the local terrain unattractive to medical workers. Now, he said that efforts should be directed towards improving the healthcare system, making the environment conducive for workers, that even if at all that medical students you're claiming, because the government's claim is that they have subsidized medical, this, and I'm trying to get the costing of the fee that they are being subsidized, that they've subsidized, highly subsidized medical fees for the students. So he's saying that, you know what, why don't you even give medical students the option to either pay the market rate fee or the subsidized fee? So if I pay market rate fee, you can't come and tell me that you want to tie me down for 5 years. I'd rather pay it and get my freedom. Then if I'm paying the subsidized fee, he then even went ahead to say you must give them two options. One of the options would be that they refund the money upon completion of their training, or they then work for that period of time, which is the 5 years that is being proposed. But you can't just wake up. You know, this is somebody, he's a medical doctor within the committee there. He said you cannot just wake up and bring this kind of blanket, what's it called? Now let's even go back, because we're talking about exemplary leaders, and I want you to come in. If you really want to lead by example, right, have you in any way encouraged a better healthcare structure in Nigeria? We know that, okay, the other day, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, our vice president, went to a hospital in Ikeja to go do some surgery. We celebrated them. And we said, okay, thankfully, or at least somebody decided to stay within the country. He didn't leave the country. And the hospital actually, you know, they actually did a fantastic job catering to him. But we know how many months our president stayed outside of the country in the bid to get a better medical, healthcare. We know how many of our leaders, right, that go outside of the country to get medical care, right? So if you really want to really solve the problem, why don't you lead by example and say, you know what, for the 4 years that I will be elected or appointed, anything that has to do with government official, right, I will lead by example by ensuring that everything I do, I live, I eat, I breathe Nigeria. Why do you have to live outside of the country? You know, why are you not leading that pact? You know, you just spearheading the movement. Let me hear your thoughts, Jennifer.
You know, time and time again, the government has shown how inconsiderate and unfair they are. When I saw this bill, I was very upset. I didn't want to believe that it was true, Because if we actually notice, a lot of our governments or governors or house or even the president leave the shores of Nigeria to go abroad to seek medical services or treatment. And then they stay there for a long time. Now you're asking the doctors to stay back for 5 years and work here compulsorily because you don't want them to leave. Now the healthcare system is actually very terrible. If I get sick today and I get to the hospital, it's at the end of the day, you just have to ask God, please do your work, because you don't trust anything that is happening there. Even the drugs that you're being given, you don't trust it. You'll probably be treating a particular illness. You can treat it for months. And sometimes they'll probably diagnose you wrongly. And this is a time where we need to put in more money into the medical, on the healthcare system. Now, I think it was last week or so, I saw a budget that was released. I can't remember what they released the budget for. And then it was in the billions. We're talking 20 to 40 billion. And then when I saw it, I'm like, why are you people always giving this huge amount for things that are irrelevant to the society? It is irrelevant to us.
Oh, can I just tell you the one I saw? Was it 12 billion naira to purchase 10 fire trucks? Was that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. I saw that. And I was very confused. Because I remember a day where they were commissioning a fire service station. When the governor got there, and then they brought out the fire truck, they only had like 5. There was no water. The truck itself was very dusty. It was dirty. It was very obvious that they didn't just buy that truck. They've had the truck. It's the truck they've been using since. And when you look at these things, it's very shameful. And I think the government and people who are passing this bill need to be ashamed of themselves. Because if you're thinking about the healthcare system and you feel like the best solution that came to your mind is this, and you need to go back to your drawing board or you leave completely, because I don't get it.
So let me say something here, because there's a research that came out that says hospitals such as the Federal Medical Center Ebute Metta have had to turn to task shifting and flexible arrangement that allows for job hopping to certain services running. Now the hospital, they said, had lost a total of 152 workers, including 38 doctors, 42 nurses, 30 combined laboratory scientists, pharmacists, and psychotherapists, and 42 others, just between January to August 2022. Now, Nigeria is home to about, of course, 82 million poor. Poor with health expenditure per person. So we are spending like $71, right? Indirectly offsetting our healthcare bills. But go to countries like the US, they are capable of spending at least $10,921 in healthcare spending per individual. UK and Saudi Arabia spent about $4,300 and $1,300 respectively on each citizen. Do you understand? Most of these countries that you see our medical doctors migrating to, they prioritize their citizens. They spend money on healthcare for their citizens. So that is why you will see that the doctor is confident that if I do my job, if I know my job, I'll get paid. So are you as a leader, you are just waking up and saying, now look at the numbers, very staggering numbers. About 6,068 Nigerian medical doctors moved to the UK in the last 7 years, according to the General Medical Council of the United Kingdom. So now even this one said, they are actually afraid, because if they leave it, all our doctors will go. So I get their law saying that they are trying to control it so that we don't have that deficiency. The doctor, because we're supposed to have this topic on Friday, the doctor that I call, I told Omolola to reach out to.
Was on his way out?
It's not on his way. They were just landing Canada. So she sent a voice note to Omolola that, my darling, that we just landed.
So even the doctor has just
left. That, and the doctor she then recommended, I'm looking at that one, the way his picture was looking, he's looking like he has prepared his professional profile.
He has packed his
to leave. But let's take a break, right? Because I just need us to understand this thing. And there's an angle that I would like to, touch on. We'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing exemplary leadership in respect to the bill mandating doctors to practice in Nigeria for 5 years. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. So, Norma, you touched on a lot of salient points that even me, I didn't even think about it. First of all, I go spend how many months of strike? So you have already taken out, don't forget that some of these people did not go to school early. So maybe, let's say, average, I entered school when I was 25.
You come out when you're in your 30s.
I come out when I'm in my 30s. I'm required to do NYSC. Then you now mandate me. So because again now, without the license, right? Without the license, would you be able to get what you deserve in terms of payment? Even we know that the payment is not it. But if I am not a licensed doctor, isn't it even illegal for me to be practicing without a license? Do you understand? So what would the government, so this is like, that's why the person in the committee said this one is not the way, because in the bid to try to want to even implement this, you are violating a lot of laws. Absolutely. There is the freedom for movement, which is why people are saying that when we are arguing that our legislators should not leave the shores of this country to go and get medical care. The argument is that there is a law that gives them freedom of movement. And you see, the only thing we can tell them is that when you are going, make sure that you are using your own pocket money, not taxpayers' money. But how would you know which money that they are using? Is it labeled? You know, so even in the bid to want to even bring up this law that they are trying to move to whatever, you are violating a lot of laws, because as a medical doctor, you are not authorized to practice, you understand, without a license. You know? So, and if you ask me, this will only create an avenue for people to find other ways. Okay, so I have a friend, sorry, Norma. He was in 200 level, I think, when his father moved him out of the country. And today, he's doing exceptionally well outside the shores of this country. He's a top, you know, this is a position, first of all, that he would not have smelt if he was in Nigeria. Because first of all, those kind of positions, the ones that you have gray hair, that they will give you those positions, right? But I'm saying to you that if that is the case, medical students will just wait till they are like in their 3rd year or their 4th year. And they will just carry their bag and go and complete the studies and continue there. Because you really cannot tie. People will find a way out of this. It's not possible.
Always.
You know, the thing you should have been thinking about as a leader is that, okay, what can I do differently that would make people not run away from me? Do you understand? That is you showing that, okay, yes, I can make this thing work. And, you know, being an example. So your own children now, have you mandated them to stay in the country? Because that is one angle. Some other people will just refuse to study medicine. They will decide to say, I beg, let me go to a course that is not stressing my life.
Well, do you know that some people are willing, it's so bad that people are willing to throw away the 10 years or 12 years that they consider it a waste. They would rather start all over again.
Yeah.
I've seen people who had no business in the medical field going to go and read nursing abroad just so that they can have a stake at a good life or whatever they think will solve their problems. So that's how resilient Nigerians are. Whatever you try to succumb them to, they will find a way. And they're finding that way. This 5 years is not the solution to the problem because they're not even looking at the problem itself. There's a reason why people are leaving in the first place. And Nigerians, funny enough, are the kind of people that, do you know how many people that are out there that if Nigeria was working, they have no business being outside the country.
In a heartbeat.
They have no business being outside the country. They will all come back. It's about making Nigeria work. It's about making Nigeria the kind of place that they can come back to and feel that they are Nigerians. They have a stake in the country. And that's why we're talking exemplary leadership. What are we doing differently to show Nigerians that there is a direction, right? We have a plan. We have a goal to make Nigeria better, to make Nigeria desirable enough to call back all of those resources that are being trained outside the country to be useful, to be resourceful in Nigeria.
Isn't it even
That's
shameful,
what it is.
Norma? Is it not shameful that the best of the best, right, in the medical field, globally, are Nigerians? Is it not shameful to you that you are trying to pass this kind of bill?
Currently, we have over 11,000 Nigerian trained doctors in the UK alone.
Yeah.
You're not talking about Canada. You're not talking about America. And even if you go to some of those places, you will find out that the top medical practitioners are Nigerians. Nigerians have the ability to thrive anywhere. You just root them in the place that brings out the best in them, and you will see that even the ones that were considered not very intelligent here go outside and they thrive. So it will tell you that the problem lies within. It lies within us and the kind of leadership that is not taking us anywhere. And that's, I don't know, but for future reference, really, is an eye-opener for us. Who are we choosing to lead us in the first place? Because if the person has no
or the one that shows themselves,
vision, no leader, no direction, then we're doomed.
I think they need to start thinking more. We've gone past the time of just coming up with things and saying whatever is in your heart or in your mind so you can sound smart. We need to actually put in the work, and people need to start seeing the result. For a profession where they work round the clock, their income is very, very poor. And now in a situation where you have a lot of doctors who are leaving, you have one doctor taking on the shifts of 3 people.
3?
So you are exhausted.
More than that.
So when you're exhausted,
they're drained themselves.
How do you perform well?
On top of that exhaustion, it's not added. Plus, they refuse to pay you your salary.
It's like, pay these people. They're supposed to be one of the highest
paid.
Earning
because you're talking about
in
lives.
Nigeria.
You're talking about lives of human beings, isn't it? And that's why you had mentioned earlier about Saudi Arabia and some of the countries that put a lot of stake in the medical healthcare because they're thinking about the healthcare of their citizens. So these are people that are placing priority on human life. And you're not thinking about the doctors that are supposed to be saving these lives, to look for a way to, give them incentives that will encourage them to keep saving these lives.
So let me even, because we are focusing on doctors, let's move a bit because it's healthcare workers, right? In 2020, Nigeria had 1,200 nurses and midwives, or 1.2 nurses and midwives. I think that's 1,200, and about 400 physicians for every 1,000 inhabitants, slightly higher than sub-Saharan Africa average, but worse than many of its regional peers such as Ghana, Namibia, Gambia, as well as structural and aspirational peer countries such as Indonesia and Vietnam. Nursing shortages leads to error, high morbidity and mortality rates. So now, according to World Bank, Nigeria has the highest
mortality rate.
Under 5 mortality rate in the world, with 117 deaths per 1,000 live birth. 117 children will die in 1,000. So there are problems that we are facing in this country. And if we had leaders that were strategic, you understand, that understood what it takes to be a leader, this would be the, I think this idea would not have even come up in your plan for solution. It's like there is a problem, right? The tree is bringing out bad fruits, and you are saying that okay, no. Let us find a way to ensure that maybe we take the whatever out. No, there is a root cause. If a tree is not producing well or is not bringing out good fruit, what you're supposed to do is continue to inject that tree loads of vitamins and treatments and all of that. Just keep injecting the roots. With time, all that thing will blossom and the fruit will start to come out plush and lump. The healthcare structure in Nigeria is very, very poor. You know, I've said this thing several times that I know people that if they were in Nigeria, they would have been dead, buried, forgotten. Do you understand? Because of the health challenges that they had. But because they're in other climes, and it's not to say that healthcare in other parts of the world are perfect. No. It's beyond, it's far from perfect. But what happens is even the problem we're having in Nigeria is actually deeper than just the healthcare. Is the value to human life.
Human lives, yeah.
That we have not attached. Because if we understood that this person is a human being and must be cared for, is deserving of love, is deserving of a better life, is deserving of life, you know, in itself, you will treat that person differently. You will look for things that would ensure that that person's standard of living is better. Other parts of the world, of course, they don't get problem again. That's why they look for problem they won't give themselves. Do you understand? And trying to look for the right, my right, your right, they, them, and all of that. We have real issues in this country. We've not solved power situations in this country.
Education.
Our educational system is going down the drain by the minute.
The healthcare system.
Healthcare system has always been, you know, a bit epileptic. What's it called? The infrastructural challenges and deficits that we have. Don't forget that these doctors have families. The nurses have families. The healthcare workers have families. Right? If you do not prioritize them and say that they matter, how do you expect them, you know, to put priority in the work that they do? Have you not heard of doctors slumming and dying? You know, have you not heard of them? Or nurses too? So a lot of people leave the country out of frustration. There is a frustration behind the leaving of the country. And you are now saying that for us
they don't even see it.
Do you even think?
No, they don't even see it. I mean, you're sitting down and just coming up with this bill and saying, okay, we enforce it. And, you know, it's painful. It's painful because you don't see the plight of the people. You don't see it from their perspective. And that's another thing about leadership. It's about feeling the pulse of the people. What are they going through? How can we solve their problems? If you see things from your own perspective alone, it's very easy for you to come up with situations like this and pass a bill or consider a bill in the first place. But if you are the one on the hot seat, it will be different.
If you were the
Imagine that you are the doctor
or the nurse
who has to go through this, then you will reconsider. And that's where we want leaders to begin to come from, where you feel
place of empathy,
the pain of the Nigerian citizen.
And you know, if you had listened strongly to what's his name, JRV's campaign, I used to bring it back, and he kept on emphasizing on empathy, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's the biggest thing we lack in leadership in this country. We don't have empathetic leaders, because if you put yourself, like you rightly said, in the shoes of these healthcare workers, you will not be proposing this bill that you're proposing. It will not even cross your mind. Because you will know that the problem is not because, you think people generally enjoy, you know, living in another man's country, being a second-class citizen.
The cost of living in another country, you can't compare it if you were living
I told
in
you
your own
normal
country.
now. I went to the embassy. You could see clearly this thing was this person's visa fee
was a community
effort to get that visa, the money to pay for the visa fee. Everybody just wants to live. We're not even talking about healthcare workers alone. We're talking about Nigerians in general wanting to live. And all you can think about is, okay, let us make sure that we seize their license for 5 years. Come on.
And sometimes people who are leaving,
that was the best
you know, sometimes when people leave, people think that, oh, things are going well for them, that's why they left.
No.
There are people who have left well and good paying jobs just to go abroad and do menial jobs. They are over there suffering. A lot of them are suffering, but they would rather suffer and toil and be there because they know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel than to be here where every time you walk, the government comes and scatters it. So basically, you have to go back to
Every
square
effort
one,
you make
and
is in futility.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I've actually come to believe that sometimes these people have put themselves in people's shoes. They know how other people feel, but they just don't care.
I hear some people are trying to call the WhatsApp line. Well, sorry, we don't take calls on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Just send your messages, but not calls today, please. It is well. So what do we think would have been a better solution if we were to help this young man that is trying to pass a bill? What do you think we should have? What should the proposal look like, or the proposed bill look like?
I think part of solving problems is having a dialogue with even the people that have the problem. Part of it is having conversations with the, I don't know, medical association to say, how can we, you are the ones in the hot seat. What can we do differently
to stop you from leaving,
to help people to alleviate the problems? And let them even air their views. Let's see, that's part of leadership, having a dialogue with the people, having conversations and finding out what is the problem and where did we go wrong, what can we do differently. We're not saying that it's going to happen overnight, but when you start asking the right kind of questions, the right answers will begin to come as well. And that will be a start. They would know and they will have the feeling that, okay, it's like you are now seeing me as a human being. Because a lot of times we make decisions without even thinking about how it affects the other person. So they don't, so in their own minds, okay, you didn't consider me, you didn't consult me in the first place, so why do you think that I should care? But when they are brought into the situation, they can let them know, these are our challenges. If you can do this, and then you can come to a compromise. We may not be able to solve all your problems in one sitting, but we can gradually get there. That's part of leadership. When you're able to show people that, okay, we have a direction, we have a plan, we have a goal, and if we all work together, we can get there. We can accomplish our goals and our dreams. Then it will be a win-win situation.
I like that. I 100% agree with you, honestly. And after having a dialogue, I mean, if you've spoken to doctors, you hear that. I mean, we just read one, Abia State, 24 months. That's basically 2 years. So imagine not having an income, a monthly income for 2 years. How are you able to feed? And I think
have children that go to school.
It's important that they pay attention and restructure the monthly income of doctors. You need to start paying them well. And then after that, you start working on the healthcare system. These hospitals are dilapidated. If there are equipments that you need to change, start changing them. If there are new equipment you need to bring in, bring them in. Give people a conducive place to be in. I can't go to the hospital and I'm admitted in the hospital and there's no lights. What does that even mean?
And you are on the operating theater. Yeah, you're having a surgery.
Shouldn't I just stay in my house?
Yeah, I was going to also add to that also give incentives. So for instance, now, I know some organizations, because you're working for them, if you have children and probably maybe they have schools or something, they subsidize the fees for your children, you know. So those kinds of little perks are incentives that they would also look at and say, okay, this is worth my while. You know, in the bid for dialogue, you would uncover a lot of things. And some people would argue that it's not like this, our leaders don't know the problem, but they've chosen to turn a blind eye to the problems, you know. But I choose to believe that if they knew better, they would do better. Our leaders really don't understand what it is. Because you know what? I've seen people, just because of the motivation that they give the people that are subordinate to them, they work their hearts out without being paid. People, it's not today they owe salary. But you see, it is because of the motivation that they get. They know genuinely that this is my boss, so we're having a rough time in the company, but I'll stick with you and I'll work with you. Because those leaders, you know, are leaders that, you know, they will hold your hand and say, you know what, if I grow, we grow together. It's not every time that is about money. And that is what I even want some of our leaders to understand.
Yeah.
It goes beyond money. You know, that empathy is very important. That you are showing the example that we are in a mess as a country. We are all in this mess together, and
How do we fix it?
We'll rise above it. Even in your lifestyle, in your dealings, in everything, right? If you do it that way, and the people see you genuinely that this leader is actually for us. Yes, we might be going through a rough time, but we're ready to rough it up with him. That is the kind of leader we're looking for. And if we do not get those kind of leaders, it is impossible for things like this not to continue. It is impossible. People will continue to leave your country because they don't believe that you have their best interest at heart.
They'll always find
Do we
a way.
have messages? Before we
Yes,
run out
we
of
do.
time. Quickly.
Yes,
oh.
we do. Okay. Long ones for some
Hey,
reason.
quick. Oh.
Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. Exemplary leadership bill mandating doctors to practice in Nigeria for 5 years. It is so sad and frustrating when someone is made to spend more than he or she is supposed to spend in a university due to one problem or the other. That madness has to stop in Nigeria. While doctors relocate abroad is maybe because they do not have the facilities to work with, or they're poorly paid and they go to look for greener pastures. We need to encourage them to stay and not go. Sister Ua, your countenance is justified concerning that video. It is really tiring.
Disturbing.
Even me, I'm tired. I'm so happy and excited to have my dear beautiful sister
Norma back.
the
Hallelujah.
polished
Bye.
coach.
Thank you so much, Daniel Ilo.
Yeah, and then we have one from Austin as
we
well.
don't have Austin.
Oh, okay.
We've run out of time. We'll continue the conversation tomorrow. That it is important. It is almost impossible to command without being an exemplar and to lead without helping those whom you wish to take into your laps. Well, sorry, Austin. We're sorry, anybody. We couldn't read your messages. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
I think polygamy is more of an African concept at satisfying the need for variety in a man and the need to reduce single men in the society. I think it's more of a cultural or traditional thing. I think everybody can practice it. Unfortunately, because it is African and it's more of religious, because it's allowed in Islam, and when you look at many of these Orthodox churches in the early days of colonialism, they changed into African churches because the people find it convenient not to live a world of pretense. There's a lot of pretense in those who marry under the marriage laws, and then you have one wife, you have 3 concubines outside. But under polygamy, you are allowed to be yourself. One wife, many concubines, that's just a bloody pretension. Why are you pretending? Those spouses are not recognized by the society. But in polygamy, everybody knows you have multiple partners in a marriage. So, and everybody is known and accepted, and you have done the needful things traditionally on them. There is no pretension. They may stay together under one roof, and they may stay separately. But everybody has equal status in the home. Every partner is a wife in the polygamy. But what you are talking about, that's one is pretension. You are telling the whole world that you are not man enough to have more than one wife. And polygamy does not give room to that because it acknowledges the presence of every woman and the products of such union with the owner of the house or the man of the house. So it's not possible for you to hide children had by your mistresses, like you will do with concubines outside. Everybody knows the other in a polygamous relationship. So the children must see themselves as siblings from the same man. There's no way you have to wait till you die when a woman will now bring a child from a relationship that was known to some members of the man's family, but not to the woman at all. But I think anybody that desires to practice it, well, like in Islam, it's allowed and for a maximum of 4. But there's always one rule that many people don't think about, and that is treating them equally. To me, that's a very big job to do. Even if you have 3 kids from a woman, you must have a favorite among them. And in polygamy, in Islamic polygamy, there is no favorite wife. Even if you know you have a favorite wife there, it must not be shown. But we're all human. One way or the other, you make a slip one day that will tell the whole world, this wife is more important than this other one.
What a wow. That's all I can say right now. You're most welcome back to the show. It's still No Cap. Miles is still very much here. Zibi is very much here. We have one more person in the building, but we'll get to her in just a bit. And after all said and done by Dr. Adagun, I think it's safe to say that's it. We don't. But the last person in the building, the person that just joined us now, will have something to say. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, please meet Fumi is in the building. Hi. What's good? So you've been hearing our banter now.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself first.
What else to introduce? So everything: TV presenter, TV producer, content creator, a mama, a lover, and looking for her billionaire blue people.
Okay, polygamy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's get started.
Yeah, so I heard you when you were saying that men are polygamous in nature,
Right.
but I just want to also know that. I don't know whether in the generation of our mothers they were not. But in our own generation, we ladies are polygamous too. The only thing that we do is to allow it like how you guys, you understand? We chop and we clean out, quietly. So I want you guys, as you are bugaing around, that you can really, have as many as you can juggle. We have juggled, swallowed, done everything, but we keep it
on the low.
We respect your ego. We don't want you hurt, okay? So that is what I always say about this polygamous thing. And when guys say, oh, they can have as many women as they want, fantastic, but be mature enough to respect that this other person, like you, has feelings too. So don't just come and throw it. So I'm not going to explain the cultural thing, because I even feel like we do our parents a disservice and disrespect when we shout so much about polygamy, how our parents don't like polygamy, but you're a side chick, you're a baby mama, you're all over the place. Even now, side chick, even have a country, will go to social media and threaten the wife. As in
social media, even go to their houses,
even go to their houses and
hangouts.
be dragging. And for me, that is disrespected. That is where the man comes in. That's where the man is supposed to draw the line. Like, look, yes, my wife may now know that you are my side piece, side boo, mistress. Because like in France, for example, you have a wife and you're allowed to have a mistress. But they stay in like different places and nobody's coming to rub anything in anybody's face. In anybody's face. But at the same time, you have to have regard for this woman that you have put in your home. And if you now choose to marry this person eventually, please, let's do it properly and draw the lines. Tell this person that, look, I know that, you can be hot-tempered, you can be jealous. And then the truth is, Miles, we all get jealous. I was just talking about how friendship, somebody saying, oh, me and Zibi were really close. Then who is this fool me? Does she know me and Zibi? And that's even from the same sex, you understand? So as human beings, we're jealous. We have to regard that. And that's the thing when we talk about Yules and the Edoches, for example. The reason why I feel like Yule even came out in the first place, like this girl, the other lady is pregnant, the blogs were going to open it. You could have done your wife that respect, because for me, it wasn't that disrespect on social media. You could have called her in the house. You could have, said all of those things, because you see one of the reasons, even though...
What makes you think he didn't do that? What makes you think
body language. You see that incident that Zibi was talking about?
Yeah, that incident.
You see, when things have been sorted, it's just like how three of us are sitting on this set. If we don't align with each other, it will show in our body language. No matter how much you want to package, I'm like, I want to act professional, it will show. So in that last scene on her birthday, if you see her body language was everything, like, oh God, this guy, it's enough now and everything. So you have to sort it, because whether we like it or not, in as much as also we glamorize, because monogamy, look, it's not an easy something, because God created fantastic human beings in this life. And I'm telling you, as a child of God, because I appreciate the creation of God. When you see some men with white chest, if you look at my Instagram story today, there's one fine man, no Nigerian artist, white chest, looking luscious. I'm like, God created this one on a Sunday, and then after God finished creating that one on a Sunday, like 12 noon, God will not create another boy like 2. You will not be like, Lord, lead me not into temptation. Because it's not easy to be monogamous, do you understand? And then the thing is, we connect with people on different levels. I may connect with you on an intellectual level. Yes. I may connect with you on an emotional level. True. I may it may just be not even anything, like we say, just for knacks. We just met each other, like each other, shark, everybody's going in their forward direction. Do you understand? So the truth is, as humans, they will never, and I always tell people, when you marry somebody, you will always see someone that is better than that person. It's just
definitely.
Just like the guys always give that. I wish I met you a few years ago. That because when you say it, you will still marry somebody. You see somebody else that is better than me. So that's the truth. I will always see somebody that is better than my billionaire. But hey, baby, don't be annoyed. So I was still someone that is even richer or wealthier, if you're in that kind of space, that is ready to take you away at any point. It's just like standing there saying, for me, say the word. There will always be people, and then when you now take camp and you move to this person too, you will still find out that like Jeff Bezos too now, you understand? He and his wife, how many years, this other person moved. And the connection, and it can be anything. Some people, and I always tell people that don't change yourself for someone else. And this is why. Because this is who I am. So yes, your partner wants you to be a certain way. So for example, I love lingerie. The only thing that I have not yet gathered my strength to know how to strip.
To rock them.
To strip, to do all of those things. I'm still shy. As a Jesus child raised by well-to-do, yeah, for me, you did a good job. But your partner might have been saying that. But to now feel like when your partner now moves to, because we do that a lot to women especially, this man has now met another chick. She's absolutely nothing like you. Doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. But he has connected with this person. It might just be a humor. Then you're not trying to now be like that girl. You can never be. Just be the best version of your own self. You can never be that girl. You can never be the other person. It's just like if I meet a man now with, white chest and a fat bank account, then you are my friend. Me and you, maybe my side cockroach, for example. You are an intellectual somebody, you are smart. But I cannot...
Which is also your thing.
Which is also my thing. You understand? I'm a nerd. I like to read. I like to connect with you intellectually. But I cannot say to you now, baby, but we want to go to Seychelles now, are you? But that Seychelles thing, or maybe that money thing, he doesn't stress me with it. He's just saying, I'm just seeing money in your account. I'm asking you, what's the money for? And you're like, just a soft life.
Yeah. Soft life.
But even this my net now, I'm a kagidi. When I say let's go and buy, I'm like, struggle. We're angry. You're angry.
Okay.
So anyway.
Okay. Right now, before we wrap up on this one now. On a final note, right? Why do you think the society is frowning towards polygamy right now? Because everyone seems to be frowning, but I know it's wrong. It's wrong. Even when the Oba, or no, if it was taking, why is he doing that again? He's an Oba.
He's an Oba.
He can take as many as he wants. So,
I think the economy definitely plays a huge role. Because a lot of people are struggling to take care of one wife and 2 children. So when you have a side chick, just know that whatever resources a wife is getting is cut in 2. And guess who is getting the bigger share?
The wife, innit?
Definitely not the wife.
It's the wife. The wife has kids.
The wife is not getting the bigger share.
Because there are kids involved, isn't it?
You need to impress that side chick on the outside.
He's a good man. But
wait, hold up. No, what is... Okay, look, if I have 10 naira with me right now, I will spend maybe 2 naira or 3 naira on a side chick. And the rest is for the house, honestly.
No side chick is going to be waiting for you to spend 3 naira on her. She wants 9 naira, maybe 9 naira.
If you're a man and that's what you do, I'm not saying having a side chick is okay, but if that's what you do, then you're really stupid. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
He actually comes from actually betraying someone who is in a committed relationship.
Okay, let me put a devil's advocate here. Let me just throw a spanner in the works.
Here we go.
Okay, so what if that side chick, is like business partner. She brings in, or not business, she's able to bring you business and bring you, you know, I'm like, when you're saying that, for me, we have to look at all the angles. So what if she you come to me now and say, oh, for me, I have this proposal, and all I just have to say that, oh, Miles, you have this proposal, fantastic idea. Let me call someone in Lagos State and tell them that there's only miles that they can use. And I keep going on about this film that recently came out, like Anikulapo, how Awaru introduced Saro to everybody else, and even though it was she literally changed his life. So are you going to tell me that got you a 100 million contract, and if I come to you and I say, Miles, first of all, my cut, not even because you are my side boo or anything, my cut is 10%. Then our side boo now consign. You understand? You're gonna give me something for the something. But wifey will not tell you when you don't even know how whether I kiss the person that gave Miles the contract or something. So you see, those things it's never cut and dry. It's never A and B. They're always going to be black and white. It's always going to be gray areas. We have to realize that. Once we realize that, then we know that everybody. My own is that let the man just have sense. Be mature.
All right. That being said, we are not advocates of side chickism or side cockerellism here. We're not saying go and have a side chick or go because you say they told us that on the Plus TV. They're the ones that told we didn't say that. We're just putting out there the way it is. Okay.
But I know you still do what you want to do.
Yeah. Still do what you want to do.
But I wanted to answer your question, Miles, where you said that why do people.
Society.
I don't think the society is condemning. So two things. Right. I think one, we are pretentious. So we want to come. We're doing something in secret, but want to come out and say, "No, I don't do. I'm holier than thou. I don't do. Oh, I've never, I'm a virgin." So like that kind of thing. Even after you have had 3 children, you're still a virgin, but it's okay. But then the second thing is that people who have experienced polygamy, and you see, polygamy is in different ways. There are polygamists that they live with all their wives in the compound. True. It was a gidigbo moment that they were fighting all the time. There was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of, because we're in Africa, there was a lot of witchcraft and jazz. Somebody took your name to Babalawo.
It's still there.
Once you have experienced that, you do not want to. Because, it is a traumatic experience of people who have gone through bad. I was talking about a family that I know that all the children are so close, but of course their mothers aren't as close. The father succeeded in making all the children close, but it's not going to work. So what works in polygamy family A will not work in polygamy family B. Okay. Going back to why the man should have sense. So it's two things. People are pretentious. People genuinely also don't like it because of the experiences they have seen, personal or their families and their friend, and they see the resentment that it brings to. So that's why. So that's what I think, though. Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay with
that? Very interesting perspective.
All right. Now, there's no how on earth we'll talk about polygamy and we'll talk about side chicks, and we will not have this discussion. I think this is another discussion people frown at. A lot of people. For one, there was a time I met someone I was supposed to go out have a relationship with her, and along the line I found out that she had like 2 kids, and it was a problem for me. I'm like, okay, why didn't you? Why was it a problem? Why wasn't this the first thing you put on the table? Like, I have 2 children. Why are you telling me now? Now we've gotten deep, like into 2-3 months, and you're now telling me now I'm deeper with you. So it was a problem. So we're talking about single mothers and baby mamas. Somebody said they're actually 2 different things, but I think, I want to be schooled today. So single mothers and baby mamas. What's the difference, please? Let me just first.
Okay, I will answer that question. But answer my question to you.
What's the question?
When you were saying that you dated this single mother that had 2 children, why did it make you uncomfortable when she eventually told you that she had children?
Okay, it made me uncomfortable because we didn't have that conversation. If she had one child, I have a child, right? So when I'm meeting anyone for the first time, that's one of the first set of things I tell you, like, oh, I have a child. Are you okay with this, right? I think she should have just laid it down before me first. Like, guy, I have not even 1, 2. That's a lot. So we're gonna have, you and I, we're gonna have like, I'm not having more than 3 children in my life. Maximum of 3, minimum of 2. So added with your 2, my 1, that's 3. Then that 2 from
and so you didn't like her enough to take her with her 2 children?
No, I did not.
Wow. And you ended the relationship?
Yes, we had to, real quick, not before we went further.
Interesting. I mean, there's something called first date conversation, second date conversation, first month relationship. I think
you're gonna live long. I like that.
I think if you guys haven't been together for up to 3 months, you guys are still seeing each other. You guys are not in a committed relationship. It might be, some people might consider it overkill on the first date to say, oh, I have a child or I have 2 children. So you judged her because she had 2 children, and it's fine because it wasn't going to align with what you wanted. Exactly, and that's fine. But because maybe perhaps there are a lot of people that share that idea, and people don't really listen to understand the backstory of why someone is a single parent or not. In our society, there's this perception that if a woman is a single mom, chances are she lived a wayward lifestyle. So people don't want to know whatever the backstory is. So because of things like that, that's why a lot of people are not going to be so comfortable just bringing it out to the table immediately and saying, oh, yes, here's my phone number. By the way, I have 2 children.
Boom. Just like, I think I'd rather prefer you just do that.
Because
like, just let me know. I don't really have a problem with it, but let me know if it aligns with what I want to do in my life. Because my mother is a single mother now with 2 boys. Do you understand? And she lost her husband at a very, very young, tender age. I was 13 when I lost my dad. So every man that came her way and they just see both of us like these 2 boys, they just flee. Automatically.
Wow.
She's still single today.
I still feel like they didn't love her enough.
Like they just like 2 boys, Sha. Nami will carry 2 boys. Upon boom, they're gone. So she just after a while she just stopped dating and she just, you know what, I'm gonna just stay
Focus
with my
on my
kids.
children.
And so date mama just stay single, just enjoy her life. But she has a white boyfriend, Sha.
Wow, that's nice. I like that. I like
So
that.
it's your turn.
Okay, so finding single mothers and baby mamas. So this single mother thing, I feel like the baby mamas are intentional in the sense that they see a guy, they want to have a child for the guy, like with the Nigerian celebrities. You see a guy, or with celebrities across the world, you see a guy, you targeting, you're like, this is what I want to do. I want to have a baby by this, that song, have a baby, my baby, be a millionaire. So I want to have a baby by this man for money's sake, for his status sake and everything. Single mothers, defining single mothers in my own formist terms, or single mothers are people that have been married, like I was married, or they were dating someone that they loved, or, well, I'm not saying that the baby mamas, before people come from that you don't love your celebrity boyfriend, but hey, they loved, or, someone that they were in a relationship with, they were married to, and then things went south, and the child was involved, and the man now, just is taking care, this woman is now left with the responsibility of taking care of this child. So that's it. So like the baby mama, she's intentional. She's not looking at a two-face here. If I, handle this guy, if I do this, I'm going to have a boy.
Trappers.
She trappers. Do you understand?
So what happens to those who are not being baby mamas for celebrities or rich people? There are lots. Go to Makoko. Baby mamas plenty there. Plenty. Makoko there. Plenty baby mamas. Plenty. So what happens to those? How do you tag those ones?
That's what I'm saying. Because even baby mama came from like an American entertainment term. You understand? So. But guess what? Because we always think that things are just exclusive to us. This thing have been happening like for a long time. I knew one of my friends' mom, for example, when we were younger. I think I was like even the first woman that I knew that had children for different men. Right. So the only thing was that her own father took my friend out of. I said, you know what? I will raise my daughter. Go and raise. So some women are just like that. So those women, some of them were also, how do I put it? Either careless, like, they met this person, they thought the relationship, not careless, but they met this person, they thought the relationship is going to work. And how we always use children as what will seal and hold the relationship together, which is not true, because if you like 100 children, if a relationship or marriage that will fall apart will go to pieces, you get it. But that's the, that's the thing with, for me, with baby mamas and single mothers. So those ones were hoping that they could do that. Some may have been intentional, some may have not. And so
I have a few matured friends who are still single, like in their late 30s, mid 30s, and all they say to me these days is like, look, I just want to have a child. I don't even care about the guy. He doesn't have to take responsibility. Just get me pregnant, and I will take care of my child. Do we still call those ones single mothers or baby mamas?
I think, to be honest, that term baby mamas, I find it a bit disrespectful. Okay. That's personally, I find it weird. I feel like it degrades women who consciously or unconsciously had a child without being married. So I always frown and cringe whenever I hear people being described as baby mamas. I mean, even some of the baby mamas so-called baby mamas who have children for celebrities, some of them are not just hoping to trap, they're actually hoping that maybe I would be the one that this person will end up with. And unfortunately, in some cases, it doesn't happen.
Okay, let's put the final notes out there for me, from your part, before we wrap this up.
I just feel like live your best life, be responsible,
That's what I'm convinced.
male and female. Let everybody have sex. so that the world will be a better place. Simple.
Okay.
I think self-control is very, very important.
Yeah.
If you're single, you're not wearing that shackle on your finger, that's fine. Live your life.
Wow.
Yeah, some people see it as a shackle. Some people see it as, something precious. Depends on which way you're looking at it from. But once you make a commitment to someone to be in a relationship, be with that person. If for some reason you choose to take a walk out, don't do the whole side chick, side cockerel thing. Be bold enough. Tell your partner, we're done. And everyone moves on and everybody's happy.
All right. That being said, shackle wearing or not shackle wearing, and the major thing is you should have sense. In the words of me, you all should just have sense. Okay, cool. If you're gonna indulge in some things, let your partner know. Nobody's holding you. You're old enough now. You're above 18. No caps. We came, we saw, and we definitely conquered. We have to go. Right, we have to go. We're done. We'll be here next week, same station, same place. But if you have anything contrary to what we said, you want to argue with us, it's fine. We love argument here, right? Just go to all our social media handles and let us know what you feel about what we discussed today. And trust me, we will reply you. Or we'll even bring you back here next week and continue. So we gotta go. Adios. Drink a lot of water and mind your business. Ew.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
So coming into Lagos and having to do like 5 jobs, at a time, my life has always been a balancing act, Time was when I was in this town. Funny you mentioned it. This entire area, I hip hop around this area. I start from NTA and begin to work my way gradually, end up here at Peck Theatre, and then at the Onikon Museum, and then at Racecourse. Story for another day.
All right, so growing up, I wouldn't say I was born with a silver spoon, but I was okay. Dad had everything going on for us. And I lost him when I was 16. So at that point in my life, I had to start making decisions for myself, which was a bit difficult. And that was when I actually decided to become a DJ. When my dad was alive, he didn't want me to do entertainment. So I had to shape myself, take that decision. I remember leaving my house for 2 years at some point because I was chasing my dream. And all that basically has molded me into the man I am today.
I remember while I was in school, I would never imagine I would be the person today. I even, at some point, never had money to go to school. So what I would do, I would walk all the way to the bus stop and hope that when I get in the bus, I'll see a student like me that can pay for me before I get to Lasso Gate. But for real, life is like that, and we just take all these things and mold them into what makes us stronger. You mold all the struggle into dumbbell, use them to make yourself stronger. That's it. So for me, I can share a lot of experience with you that would make you drop your jaw and be like, you went through all this.
I personally, I never saw the four walls of a university. But I found myself now being able to inspire and speak to a lot of audiences. And it's all about self-improvement. Having that drive to, I want to be better than who I am. I want to move. I want to be a positive change. I want to impact positively on the people. It is just one making that honest decision to push themselves rather than looking for the shortest cut by doing all sorts of, hanky-panky nonsense. We can, if only you can.
I've been so broke that I had to walk from Maryland to Ilukweju because I didn't have 15-hour transport money for bus. So yeah, I've been through that. And I didn't want to call anybody. This was something that I was like, I got to go through this on my own because I decided to get into the entertainment industry and chase after my dreams. Left my job. I was tired of calling family, parents, my father, my mother, my guardians to say, yo, I'm broke, I was like, you know what, let's rough it, and I did. But here I am today.
One of my worst experience there was when I premiered on radio, the first 2 weeks was hell because people was calling the radio station to some said they should arrest me, some said they should sack me, some said they should they don't like my voice. They just feel I'll be worried, but are they rude, Then not be now we be like say comedian go come. Then a few comedians they. So when you go strange land and I go a day, then when you go that kind of area where be like say the only comedians where they know that and Ikemowo or Sophia Sin and you got they speak pidgin and say comedian that time, if you hear person you go be like say you they rude. And those Igbo people they not they take a likely at all. So the first 2 weeks for my radio career, they say me they sack me. First 3 weeks, so me and my friends, what we they do? People go call the radio station, say me they sack me. We can go buy card, 90 card. So when those people they call, my friends will go try to call the radio station, say Mona Livamo, now our best presenter. But the funny thing is our calls not they go through. If we try to call the radio station where they work, we know if they get the radio station. But the other people they call. And the village people. Yes, my village people, your blog they lie.
A few years ago, 2012, I think, or 2013, I was on a music competition. And one of the judges said to me, I still know him, I'm not going to call him out. So he said that he doesn't feel like singing is something I should ever think of.
How did that make you feel?
I didn't feel bad because I'm precious.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
On Plus TV News now, former Deputy Governor regains freedom from kidnappers after 3 days in captivity. Abductees in Zamfara. Police repel attacks in Zamfara after several parts of the northwest. United Kingdom places Nigeria on red list for health workers recruitment. US President Joe Biden hints he will run again in 2024. A very good evening to you and happy Easter Monday. This is News Now. I'm Loretta Chiogo. We begin with this report that says a former Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State, Professor Onje Giawadu, who was recently kidnapped, has regained his freedom. The professor of law, who was abducted from his home country in Rinza near Wamba headquarters of Wamba local government area of the state, was released after his family paid a ransom of 4 million naira to the kidnappers. The State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Dogo Shama, and the police command confirmed his release. In the aftermath of Professor Giawadu's abduction, the kidnapper had placed a call to family members demanding 17 million naira ransom, which was eventually negotiated to 4 million naira before he was released. And men of the Nasarawa State Police Command have arrested one of the inmates who escaped during last year's attack on Kuje Correctional Center in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. In a statement, the State Police Public Relations Officer, Ramban Nansel, identified the escapee inmate as Salisu Buhari, a 24-year-old indigent of Nasarawa State. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Meyaki Baba, has ordered the transfer of the case to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Lafia for a thorough investigation. The bandits who kidnapped 85 people in Wanzamai village in Safe local government area of Zamfara State have finally agreed to collect 20,000 naira ransom on each of the victims. They also asked the government to withdraw soldiers from the village as part of the conditions for the release of the abductees. They gave 12 midnight of Sunday, which was yesterday, as the deadline, threatening to kill any victim who fails to pay the money on or before the stipulated time. The State Commissioner for Security, Maman Safi, said the government would not succumb to the pressure by the bandits. Meanwhile, an attack by suspected bandits on Safi local government area of Zamfara State was repelled by the police command. Spokesperson of the command, Mohammed Shehu, said 2 suspected bandits were killed while others escaped with bullet wounds. In the aftermath of the gruesome killing of more than 134 people by suspected Fulani herdsmen in Benue State, Governor Samuel Otom has maintained that indigents would not be provoked into taking up arms against anyone. Otom, who described the killings as heinous and cowardly, reiterated his call on President Buhari to come to the aid of residents of the state. He also appealed to the communities and their leaders to continue to be law-abiding, but also be vigilant at all times to be able to ward off the assailants.
We're having more than 100 people killed. And if that continues, it means we shall be completely annihilated from this country. And this is not right. And so the president has charged the security agencies to stand up to their responsibilities. They've been doing so much, that I know. I know the challenges they have, funding, equipment. They are grossly inadequate to cover all the areas. But something has to be done.
In all, we have received 38 a good number of them that survived and reached here were attacked with intent to kill. We reached that conclusion with ease because if you look at the nature of the injuries, they targeted their head and neck region. To the glory of God, the 38 that came here alive are all alive as we speak.
And we're now being joined by a public affairs analyst who is also a security expert, Austin Ega. Austin, good evening to you and thanks for joining us on Plus TV News.
Good evening, my pleasure.
That's right. So after the elections, we've seen another attacks coming up heavily in the northern part of the country, especially from Zamfara. We've seen from Kaduna, but this time around, especially now on the news tonight, we've seen attacks and kidnapping, banditry attacks, kidnapping from Zamfara. What do you see with this? What's your view about these renewed attacks?
I think from Zamfara, the demand of the bandits is known. They don't want military. And that is something that the government will have to decide on, that you cannot decide whether a people or a community should have a heightened security or not. That is left for the government of the day to decide. So they have made themselves clear in each of their attacks. There's always something, there's always a remote cause. In this case, they don't want the military in Zamfara. That is not something we can just undermine, or the government can undermine. It's left for government to take such decisions. And in Benue, we are sure that it is not far from political violence. So what I can say from Benue State, because previously they've had things like that. There was a time the anti-grazing law was passed in the state by the governor, and they had series of attacks in that state. And now one of the attack, if we profile the attack in Benue State, we see that it came from the southern district. So the the eastern district and the northern district, there's no attack there from what we compare to that, the southern district where we had the former Senate president. And so even the incoming, the governor-elect is from somewhere around, I think, Van Dijk, also that's his place of birth. And that's around the east district. So we see this attack concentrated in the southern district. So from there, it is very clear that it has something to do with politics. No matter how we look at it, there's something to do with politics in that attack. And so we can't rule it out. Headsmen or whatever, they can come in any form to attack. So in Zamfara, it is also clear in Zamfara that we still have the same kind of people trying to build their capabilities. They are trying to rebuild their capabilities in Zamfara. And that's why they're demanding that the military should move away. And if that is done, they will definitely rebuild their capabilities and they grow up and increase their attack positions. And so it's left for the government of the day to decide.
Right, Ega. You would agree with me that just before the elections, there was a bit of silence on attacks and banditry. But immediately elections were concluded, these attacks, were renewed. Is there something we don't know, something the Nigerians really need to know?
Of course, before the election, there was a cash crunch issue. People didn't have enough cash to run their businesses. You must understand that these people in the underworld, they also need money to run their businesses. Everyone needs money to fund its operations. And with the policy, the cashless policy from central bank, it really helped to curb some things at that moment. So there was no way, all sort of movement, we had a restricted movement or reduced activity at that moment. Everything was affected at that moment. And that is one point. Secondly, they all had candidates of their choices. Don't forget that these people carrying guns to fight a legitimate government, there is always an underlying cause. Definitely, they are not happy with certain issues in the country, and they believe the way they can express their own frustration is by carrying arms. And during the election time, I believe there was like every 4 years or every 8 years, there's always hope for everyone to see a new government rising. Probably maybe those hopes were dashed And of course, they went back to the creeks with their guns again. That's what I can take from that moment.
Now, the government has consistently told Nigerians that it is winning the war against banditry, against terrorism. Should we take the government's words? Should we take it? Or we just look at it as words on the papers?
No, they are not words on the paper. There's evidence. Because the terror attacks in Nigeria, especially what we have in the Northeast, they were designated. It was designated as a deadly terrorist organization in the world. But and from the rating of 2 to 4 to 6, and now it's just the 8th position. Nigeria is just in the 8th position of the most globally terrorized nation in the world, and that shows that there've been a lot of achievement from the government side. Of course, don't forget that whatever they use to attack any system like the weapon, it comes from the global war, and they know how to keep track of their arms and ammunition. They are checking from there, and we don't know how many people they are arresting over there, because if an organization is designated as a terrorist organization by the global community, it means wherever they arrest any of the suspects or doing the funding, they can be tried anywhere. In fact, you will not have them. So I think from their own monitoring sites, they see that there have been reduced attacks. There have been a crippling of their structure. You can see from Zamfara, from what they are saying, they are trying to rebuild. They are trying to rebuild their structure. So there have been a crippling of their structure, and the military, they are doing enough, and that's what you're seeing. What you're seeing there is something that shows that they're just trying to keep up with the fighting. So Nigeria, the Nigerian government, they have done a lot.
So going forward, because people are beginning to, think that this is spelling danger, especially as the country, drives towards May 29, the handover date, for a new government to begin. People are seeing this as not as a bad sign towards that day.
Yes, you see, one thing we try, their government, they've tried their best to do the elections the way they're supposed to do, but what we must always do what is right. Because no normal human being will carry guns and begin to kill another or abduct people or kidnap people. Security is built on the circumstance of the economic realities. That is what causes insecurity. So at the time you see someone carrying guns, then there must be something they're fighting against. Some people can express themselves by going through a legal process. Some other, the best way they can do it by carrying arms. So ahead of May 29, it is really a dangerous point for us. From what we are seeing, there are a series of attacks all over the whole north, even to the east. So I think the security of the nation should be heightened at this moment. I will really plead with the nation, the Nigerian government, to really look into it. It's not something they must take lightly. They really need to engage even the community heads to talk to people so that the party heads, they know that they all know how to interact with these people. They should really get back to the drawing board and see that they talk to people. There should be communication so that people can really lay down their arms and really help us to really see what we can do around this moment so that the Nigeria will not quickly break into total chaos, because that is where we are heading. Because these people with guns, they take advantage of the instability, political instability, to advance their cause. But when there is stability, it's something that you don't see. So we pray that at this moment, the government should try their best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ega. Thank you for lending us your time on the news tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
President Muhammadu Buhari has been asked to unconditionally release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, unconditionally. The group said if the federal government can grant pardon to Boko Haram members, then Kanu should be released. It urged the Igbos to support the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, in reclaiming his mandate through legal means. In another development, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has claimed that there has been ongoing organized efforts to demarket and delegitimize the obedient movement. Obi lamented the attacks on his supporters since the completion of the elections. He urged his supporters to view such attacks as the sacrifices that are required to make in order to create a new Nigeria where justice, equity, fairness, love and prosperity can reign. Elder statesman Edwin Clark has called for the prosecution of the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, saying he's speaking or is spreading fake news about Peter Obi. Mohammed, speaking in Washington, D.C., had warned Obi and his running mates, Dati Baba Ahmed, against inciting violence over the outcome of the presidential election. Baba Ahmed had said in an interview that the president-elect did not meet the constitutional requirements to become Nigeria's president and had asked the Chief Justice of Nigeria not to swear him in as president. Reacting to this in a statement, Clark called on the Attorney General of the nation to undertake thorough investigation of the activities of Mohammed and charge him to court for constituting himself as mastermind and disseminator of fake news. He said most Nigerians are keen observers of what is going on in the country. And on to some political matters. The ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, is asking the Presidential Election Tribunal to dismiss separate petitions filed by 3 opposition parties, Action Alliance, Allied People's Movement, and Action People's Party, seeking to nullify the suit challenging the victory of its presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the February 25 presidential election. The 3 parties had filed the petitions challenging the emergence of Tinubu as president-elect on different grounds, with the AA claiming that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had failed to include the name of its authentic candidate for the presidential election, Solomon David Okamegnan, and went with a factional candidate, Hamza Al-Mustafa. The APC equally faulted the competence of the petition by the APP, arguing that the grounds on which it was founded were not sustainable, while describing the petition as frivolous and an attempt to waste court's time. 16 House of Assembly candidates of the People's Democratic Party in Imo State have challenged the outcome of last month's election at the Petition Tribunal in Abeokuta. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared the All Progressives Congress as winner of all the assembly seats in Imo State. The petitioners are challenging the outcome of the election in Abeokuta North, Abeokuta South 2, Adota 1 and 2, Ewekoro, Ifo 2, Imeko Afon, Ijebu Ode, Ijebu North 2, Shagamu 2, Obafemi Owode, Odeda, Ipokia, Yewa North 1 and 2, and Yewa South. APC and INEC were listed as respondents in the application. In the petition filed by their counsel, Hassan Balogun, the PDP candidates alleged that the election failed the integrity test and should be cancelled. They added that the exercise was marred by disruption of polling units, violence, snatching of ballot boxes, and other vices. And the APC's working committee in Takum local government area of Taraba State has dissociated from the purported expulsion of the senator-elect David Jemkuta. Addressing a press conference in Jalingo, the state APC chairman said that those who signed the purported expulsion of the senator-elect were not members of APC. He added that the group were mercenaries recruited by some aggrieved members of the party who lost out in both primaries and governorship elections.
We equally want to put it on record that the group who signed the purported expulsion of our senator-elect are not members of APC in Takum local government. They are rather some mercenaries recruited from an opposition party. by some aggrieved members of the party who lost out in both primaries and the governorship election of the 2023 polls. Ordinarily, we should not have responded to these purported fake letters of expulsion being circulated by the groups, but our response was necessitated by the fact that a section of the people may be misled to believe whatever trash they come across in the social media. I wish to state in a very clear and loud voice that we, the executive of APC Takun local government of Taraba State, have passed our vote of confidence on our Senator-elect, Honorable David Jinkuta.
In an APC because we refer to the purported letter of expulsion by miscreant, the group that we have not known them. In APC, we know after the election, during the primaries and after the general election and post-primary, definitely we must have to come together because one might have stepped on someone's toes or the other. Therefore, if we are calling for reconciliation, it doesn't mean that we have a faction.
The governor of Taraba State, Darius Dixon Ishaku, has asked for forgiveness from the people of Taraba State on areas he may have offended them. Ishaku, at a special Easter Thanksgiving service at the Anglican Church, stated that as a leader who had led the state for almost 8 years, it was likely that he might have offended so many people in the course of discharging his duty. He added that it was biblical for him to openly apologize and seek forgiveness from such people. The governor lauded the people of Taraba State for their relentless support to the administration and urged them to extend the love shown to him, to the governor-elect.
Any leader who have led a state for 8 years must have offended so many people, and I thought I should, in my thank well service, to openly apologize for those I might have offended, either deliberately or in the course of my duty, to forgive me. I think biblically we are taught to forgive those who have offended or those who offend us. In this case, I'm asking for those I have offended to forgive me. And for those who think they will make my retirement an impossible thing, God should take charge and deal accordingly with them. Because all the decisions I've taken in this state, I've taken them in good faith, I've taken it in the fear of God, I've taken it to reduce casualties of citizens, and I have no regret. So all the jobs I do, and they say it's a good job, it's a good job, is because of the imbibe, the inner teachings of the faith, Christian faith, in us, to be fair, to do justice, and to fear God in all manner. And this is why I have to publicly apologize for those I have offended knowingly or unknowingly, to forgive.
Unity and peaceful coexistence were re-echoed at the Easter Unification Concert in Abeokuta, Ogun State. The convener called on all to reflect on the significance of Easter, which captures the sacrificial love of Christ for mankind and the hope his resurrection connotes.
If you look at the Bible, the only place where Christ raised a prayer for the church, John chapter 17, and he said, Father, the time has come, I'm coming to you as we are one. Make them to be one, is to be in unity. You realize that you hardly see Muslims criticizing what we do in the church. It will take one pastor, a member of another denomination, criticizing another church. But we need to know, like Pastor Martins of Living Faith said when he was leading the prayer for the unity of the church, my message is, we are different battalions, but we are fighting for the same God. So we can be doing it different ways. Denomination is for ease of administration. So whether you are Celestial, you are Pentecostal, you are Orthodox, wherever you are coming from, we are all serving one God, so we must remain as one indivisible body.
My Easter message to everyone out there is Jesus has died and he has risen. Let nothing hold you down. Let no sin hold you down. He has broken the chain. He has died and risen because of you and I.
There is no Easter without the resurrection of Jesus Christ. There is no Easter without the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that is the bedrock of our belief. So it is very important for us to actually celebrate the one who had come to die for us. The death of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, and the coming again of Jesus is is the summation of everything we are doing here.
Well, I want to say, no matter what, we must put all our hope in Christ, because he is the reason for this season and he died for us to live. And by his wounds we are healed. I want to give you hope that whatever you're facing now, just believe and accept that Jesus has died to take away all your troubles.
It was funfair for families, friends, and lovebirds as they besieged beaches to relax, refresh, rejuvenate, reunite, and savor the euphoria that comes with the annual Easter Monday holiday. Plus TV News correspondent Lobi Kuku Oyedoku tells us more in this report.
The road leading to one of the beaches was greeted with traffic snarl as fun seekers try to make their way in. At the Good Beach, people of all ages, tribes, creeds, colors, and tongues beam with excitement and fun. Easter Monday provides a golden opportunity for families and friends to bond as they savor the ambience and serenity of the beach.
Amazing, amazing. There's nothing like family. And being in the right place at the right time, amazing.
Especially being a holiday, I feel like it's more homey. Everyone's here enjoying, having fun, so it's really good.
It's a very sweet experience when you know, come with your family, friends, to ease off and have a good time.
I think this is the perfect time for me and my family. As you can see around, you can see a lot of people with their family. You can see the father and the mother. Not on a regular when you see just the mother taking the kids out. This is like a family time, and trust me, I'm enjoying it.
This other set prefer the white sandy portion of the beach looking towards the lagoon. It is another beautiful scenery here where the tranquility of nature and the unrelenting clapping of the rolling ocean rejuvenates the soul. And for the workaholic, they have this piece of advice for them.
Sincerely, if you're not taking time out, you're gradually dying. It is important that you take time out to take care of yourself. Listen, what goes into you is yours.
You're never too busy to take care of your mental health. If you're too busy, then definitely your mental health will take care of you by breaking down. So for me, this is the best time of having memories and relaxing your mind. Take your mind off every other thing that might be worrisome at the moment. Just enjoy the time. So that's just it for me. I'm just here for the fun. At least after here, we'll go back to being worried.
Some people have mental issues. You know, you need somewhere to air it out, just to talk to somebody, see people have fun, see families come together. You understand? But when you come to a place like this, you meet different people. You see a family of 5, you see a family of 10, all of them having fun, trying to bond. You see a team bonding from the office. All those things, they help your mental state. You understand? Like they help you mentally, because when you see different things apart from what you see in your 4 walls of your house, you feel very different and healthy.
These fun seekers say the moment is worth the while and are set to resume another round the clockwork life in a city that never sleeps. Lagos. Love Ikuku Uyedoku. Plus TV News.
And away from fun places, the United Kingdom has placed Nigeria on a red list of countries that should not be actively targeted for recruitment by health and social care employers. This was disclosed in an information obtained from the website of the UK government titled Code of Practice for the International Recruitment of Health and Social Care Personnel in England. This is coming 1 month after the World Health Organization listed 55 countries, including Nigeria, facing the most pressing health workforce challenges related in universal health coverage. The amber countries, where international recruitment is only permitted in compliance with the terms of the government-to-government agreement, are Kenya and Nepal. The governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, has tasked the newly inaugurated members of the Anambra State Internal Revenue Service to increase the state's internally generated revenue, IGR. The board, chaired by the former Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Emeka Sibiudu, was also mandated to develop housing structures that would suit the desires of the people.
We should be doing performance evaluation every 3 months. Every 3 months, we're going to meet with this board. If it doesn't work, this is one board that might have high mortality rates. So this board has a life of the next 3 months. After 3 months, we'll review. If it doesn't work, we'll disband you and set up a new one. We must keep on until this thing works. Anambra, as members of the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation, and you are hereby inaugurated. This is the time to disrupt what we have done or what it has done. I'm not asking you to just go and maintain what is. I'm asking you to go and disrupt the system. Disrupt it in a manner that is consistent with the transformation agenda of this administration.
We don't need to talk much, but on behalf of the board members, we will put them towards that destructive word we used. We are going to be destructive in discharging this duty.
The governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, has described the ethnic diversity of the state as a strength and virtue. Governor Okowa was speaking during the celebration of the 2023 Anioma Cultural Day Festival in Asaba, the state capital. The rich cultural heritage of Anioma in dance, tongue, dressing, lifestyle, among others, were showcased. The governor recommended cultural celebrations for all the diverse ethnic groups in Delta State as a way of preserving the rich cultures of the state.
We have come to realize that though our tongues may differ, we are one people in Delta State. And the unity of this state, by the special grace of God, is something that we must all strive to give strength to. And one person that has believed that we are stronger together in Delta State. And I believe that when you have a united Anioma, when you have a united Urobo nation, when you have a united Isoko nation, Ishekri nation, Ijaw nation, we are better off for it. Because all we need to do is to ensure that we keep ourselves bound together and we have a united Delta State.
And still ahead, Louisville police say bank shooter appears to be a previous employee. This and other details coming to you soon. Stay with us.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is engagement.
You're welcome now. This is other parts of Africa are still on the news. Some demonstrators from opposition parties waved Tunisian flags and carried signs with the images of detainees at the rally organized by the main opposition coalition, the National Salvation Front. And since early February, authorities in North African country have arrested more than 20 political opponents and personalities, including politicians, former ministers, businessmen, trade unionists, and the owner of Tunisia's most popular radio station. The political situation in Tunisia comes alongside mounting debt and cost of living crisis. A South African convicted murderer who faked his death to escape from prison has been arrested in Tanzania following a 2-week manhunt. That's according to the police. South African officials are to extradite Thabo Bester, dubbed the Facebook rapist, as he used the social media platform to lure at least 2 women he was convicted of raping. He was also found guilty of killing one. Bester was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2012, and it was reported in May last year that he died in a fire in his prison cell. However, reports resurfaced of him being seen in Johannesburg, and an investigation including DNA samples showed that the body found burned beyond recognition in the cell was not his. The South African government has now taken over management of the maximum security prison and has announced that the C4S contract to manage the prison will not be renewed when it expires. Cart farmers in Kenya have suffered huge losses in the last few years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, diplomatic spat with neighboring Somalia, and bans in many countries. Now farmers are turning to sunflowers to supplement their incomes. In Kenya, cart is classified as a drug by the National Authority for Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA. The leaf is chewed as a stimulant and is particularly popular in Somali communities. Before the 2014 ban, the United Kingdom imported up to 2,800 tons of cat a year, mainly from Kenya, Ethiopia, and Yemen. That's according to a report from the UK's Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs.
The first onslaught on the crop was Theresa May. Now, she was then the health minister. due to pressure from some lobbying groups who claimed that the Mira twigs and the banana fibers were dirtifying and polluting the UK. Then they put pressure on the government to ban it. So it was not banned because it was a drug.
And now outside Africa, police has revealed that a shooter who killed several people at a downtown Louisville, Kentucky bank appears to have been a former bank employee. 5 people were killed and 8 others were wounded in the attack, according to the city's police department.
I want to reiterate that there is no active threat. We believe this is a lone gunman involved in this that did have a connection to the bank. We're trying to establish what that connection was to the business, but it appears he was a previous employee. At least 2 officers were shot during this exchange of gunfire. 1 is currently in surgery at University of Louisville Hospital. At least 4 more victims were confirmed to be deceased inside the location, as well as 8 that are now currently being treated at the University Hospital. 2 are critical, one of those being the officer.
This is awful. I have a very close friend that didn't make it today. And I have another close friend who didn't either, and one who's at the hospital that I hope is going to make it through. So when we talk about praying, I hope people will. For those that we are hoping can make it through the surgeries that they're going through, and then we've got to do what we have done these last 3 years after everything. We've got to wrap our arms around these families. And to everybody who needs it, don't be afraid to get some help. I want people to know that while today is a horrific act, I do believe that this is a safe community with officers doing their very best each and every day, and that's what we saw here. Yes, I know that there are steps that the police department is taking to do things better after a recent report, but we certainly saw, I think, the very best from them today, and I want to thank them.
But I want everyone in this city to know that notwithstanding tragedies like today, when multiple people are killed by gun violence, notwithstanding tragedies when individuals are killed by gun violence, our community will continue to come together. We will find ways to love and support one another and the families and friends who have been directly impacted by these acts of gun violence, and we will come together as a community to work to prevent these horrific acts of gun violence from continuing here and around the state.
U.S. President Joe Biden has said he plans to run for a re-election in 2024. Both Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have said they would run together. Top White House advisors are set to make final decisions on launching Biden's re-election campaign. Biden, who turned 80 in November, is the oldest president to hold office in America.
Has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words. The worst pandemic in a century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
And up next, Google bars digital loan apps access to customers' photos and contacts. That's in business. Stay with us. And in business news, oil marketers have written to the federal government over their proposal to build about 30,000 gas stations to cushion the effects of the proposed subsidy removal on premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. Nigerians are currently counting down to the June 2023 projected date for subsidy removal as the call for palliatives to ameliorate the impact of the halt in subsidy is gaining momentum. And there are also projections that petrol may sell for about 750 naira per litre if the federal government removes subsidy by June this year. It's to help cushion these, oil marketers in a letter to the Federal Ministry of Finance also asked the federal government to make the Central Bank of Nigeria release the 250 billion naira intervention fund for the National Gas Expansion Program as loans to vehicle owner to acquire gas conversion kit. And this came as the organized labor stated that it was considering a meeting with the incoming government on subsidy removal date. And the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Capital Market Community will discuss the implementation of the revised Capital Market Master Plan as well as other matters relating to the markets and the economy at its first Capital Markets Committee meeting in 2023. The meeting is scheduled to hold on April 12, 2023 virtually with key stakeholders in the capital markets in attendance on the first day. The CMC is an industry-wide committee comprising members of the SEC, representatives of capital market operators and trade groups and other stakeholders. It was primarily established to serve as a medium for the exchange of ideas among market stakeholders, as well as a venue for providing feedback to the SEC on how to continuously address challenges, improve market operations, and enhance the regulatory framework. And the federal government and Google have implemented new restrictions on digital loan apps available on the Play Store platform aimed at safeguarding users from predatory lending practices. And this move comes just a few days after the federal government of Nigeria licensed 117 digital loan apps to serve Nigerians. The new policy, which comes into effect on May 31, also applies to other countries. Google will prohibit apps from accessing sensitive user data such as photos, videos, contacts, precise location data, and call logs. Loan aggregators, on the other hand, are required to provide certification and documentation for their digital lending services, as well as contact information for every partnered DML. And that's the business news. Thank you for watching. I am Destiny Momo. Happy holiday as the news continues shortly. Let's take you to the field of entertainment news.
And in entertainment, Davido, as narrated out with star Chief Adedeji, sent policemen to arrest him several times in the early days of his career. The OBO crooner said his dad was initially against his musical career. He noted at different times his dad sent cops to arrest him and disrupt shows he was billed to perform at. He noted that his father didn't hate music, he wanted him to be serious with his education. He said after then, he dropped the record that became big in Africa, adding that his dad was proud of him and he was his #1 fan. Bimbo Akintola has said that the movie industry only reflects vices in society rather than creates them. She said it is not true that movies are responsible for the decadence in society. Yes, the industry educates on what is going on in society. The industry is not what is affecting society, rather it is reflecting the problems in society. Akitola also stated that she had huge expectations from incoming administration of Bola Tinubu. Rapper Drake has won a whooping sum of $2.7 million after Israel Adesanya knocked out Alex Pereira at UFC 287 to reclaim the middleweight title. The Canadian placed a $500,000 bet on Adesanya to win, which returned $885,000. and a $400,000 bet for him to win the knockout will return a massive $1.8 million. The Nigeria-born New Zealander won back the 185-pound title just 5 months after he lost it to his bitter rival Pereira, who has previously beaten him twice in kickboxing. A contestant on American Idol is clearing the air after a rocky duet with contestant Nata Buzalez not only slayed the stage with a performance of Tina Turner's Proud Mary, but also apologized to Katy Perry after last week's incident, saying she felt very bad about what happened. The fireworks singer immediately got up and hugged her. She also addressed the news in an Instagram post on Monday, where she explained that she was exhausted from a long flight but hopes that you will get to know me and my personality better.
And sports is up next.
Super Falcons coach Randy Waldron believes Nigeria can replicate Morocco's 2022 World Cup feat and reach the semi-final of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Morocco's performance blurred all regional borders, with millions from around the world uniting to back them. The Atlas Lions bowed out in 4th place after a historic run at Qatar 2022. The Super Falcons' best World Cup performance was in 1999 when they advanced to the quarterfinals. The team's 4th place finish at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations was among their lowest. The Super Falcons are drawn with Australia, Ireland, and Canada. Meanwhile, undisputed middleweight champion Israel Adesanya has shut down the idea of sharing the octagon with arch rival Alex Pereira for a 3rd straight time following Saturday night's devastating knockout win at UFC 287, claiming their spot is now settled. Reclaiming the undisputed middleweight title, Adesanya, who managed to turn the tide and secure his first triumph over Pereira over their 4-fight series across professional combat sports, claimed his rivalry was settled with the latter. On his celebration style after the fight, Adesanya said it was their second kickboxing bout that inspired it. After leaving Pereira laid out, Adesanya first imitated the Brazilian star's famed archery skills and then strolled over to one side of the cage where he performed an exaggerated flop to the mat. At the evening's post-fight press conference, Adesanya explained that he was simply returning the favor to Pereira's son, who mocked him in similar fashion after Pereira knocked him out in March 2017.
And the main news again. Former Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State, Professor Onje, has regained freedom from kidnappers after 3 days in captivity. We also reported that bandits have slashed ransom for 85 abductees in Zamfara State as the police repelled attacks in several parts of the northwest. United Kingdom has placed Nigeria on red list for health workers recruitment. And the U.S. President Joe Biden has hinted he would run again in 2024. And that's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex and Glow TV mobile apps anywhere in the world. I'm Loretta Jogo. Thanks for watching and happy Easter Monday again. Work resumes. Good night.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.